Chapter 652. Refreshed from a night's sleep, Long Chen went directly to the Treasure Tower region. That was the core region of Pilyang Prefecture. Scram. If you don't want to die, then get out of the way. Suddenly, rumbling came from behind him. A huge carriage was speeding in his direction and was about to crash into him. It was a six-horned bull, an early Xiantian magical beast. It was 300 meters long, and it was pulling an extremely imposing carriage without any restraint. This was an official path set by the Pill Tower, and ordinary people wouldn't even dare step onto it. Long Chen had originally been at the side, and he wasn't at all in the way of someone rushing down the street. But the bull was still rushing straight toward him, so its master was obviously thinking of intentionally killing Long Chen. Fuck, as expected, no matter where I go, I run into idiots. Boom! Long Chen extended a single hand and caught one of the bull's horns. It immediately came to a sudden stop. However, while the bull had stopped, 8 figures shot out of the carriage from the inertia. They let out startled cries as they shot through the carriage and tumbled across the ground. Where did this blind idiot come from? Do you want to die? A white-robed man crawled up from the ground and roared at Long Chen. He had only just finished shouting when the sky darkened. A huge bull along with a carriage came smashing down on him, which caused him to turn green in fright. Those people immediately scattered. The six-horned bull fainted from the collision, and the grand carriage was blown to pieces. A powerful chi wave sent all those people flying. Bastard, you are courting death. If you have any guts, dash. Pow! A large hand viciously slapped across that person's voice, directly breaking his jaw and making him vomit blood. Try to keep your mouth cleaner. Long Chen icily stared at them, not able to understand why these idiots would want to kill him. He hadn't released any of his aura, and he seemed just like an ordinary person. Was this a case of indiscriminately attacking anyone they saw? If it was that they found him displeasing to look at, Long Chen could accept that. But it was his back that had been facing them. Could it be that his back was also displeasing to look at? Who are you? How dare you block Pill Tower's disciples from registering? Don't you know that only disciples registering with the Pill Tower can walk on this path? Raged one of them. They were all Xiantian experts, but their auras were exceedingly weak. Now that one of them said this, Long Chen understood. These people were alchemists, and alchemists had weak physical bodies just like soul cultivators. When they went out, they either used a carriage or a flying magical beast. It was no wonder just a single collision made them appear so miserable. This path is a route only disciples registering with the Pill Tower can use, so that's why when you saw me walking on the side of the road, you wanted to kill me? Because of the rule that only registering disciples can use this path. Even if you kill someone breaking the rule, it'll be fine? So directing your magical beast to crash into me was for amusement? Sneered Long Chen. So what? This is Pilyang Prefecture, and all the rules are set up by the Pill Tower. You broke the rules, so even if we kill you, you deserve it. Pow! That person's vision darkened as a hand slapped across his voice. Long Chen disliked this kind of person, who failed to be pretentious but then continued acting the most. That person was sent flying by Long Chen's slap, vomiting blood. He crashed into several people and then fainted. These people were both startled and furious. They hadn't expected that anyone would dare so publicly go against the Pill Tower in their territory. Idiot, if you can walk this path, then I can too. If you want to push me again, I'll slap all your teeth to the ground. Just like that, Long Chen strutted away. Those people were still dizzy from being struck. Suddenly one of them asked, "He's also someone who came to register." So what? Damn it, whether or not he's registering, we'll definitely get him back for bullying us. Look at that coarse brute, he might be physically strong, but he's definitely trash at alchemy. When the time comes, we'll play him to death. Said the first one who had spoken with Long Chen. Brother Ba, your mount has passed out, and it seems that its injuries are heavy. What do you want to do with it? Asked one of them. What can we do? That useless beast. Kill it, and tonight, I'll treat you to beef. These people staggered up. Another one of them opened their spiritual space and released a blackrock devil leopard. Although they weren't beast tamers, their spiritual strength was exceedingly powerful, and controlling a steed was no problem. They jumped onto the leopard's back and continued on their way. But sitting on a leopard's back was definitely not as comfortable as sitting in a carriage, especially with 8 of them. Furthermore, it was a bit embarrassing. However, their ability to be pretentious had already been destroyed by Long Chen, and they could only travel like this. When they once more encountered Long Chen along the path, they deliberately detoured around him. Only once Long Chen was far in the distance did one of them arrogantly shout, "Brat, just wait. Once we get to the pill tower, I'll properly humiliate you." Long Chen's expression sank and he raised his foot as if he was about to give chase. Those people shrieked in terror and whipped the leopard, fleeing for their lives. Damn it, is it that they're unlucky, or that I'm unlucky? How do I keep running into idiots like these? Long Chen was speechless. At the same time, he was filled with confidence in this operation of his. The pill tower was definitely a livelier place than anywhere else. That was because Long Chen saw that these alchemists were all idiots who considered themselves greater than anyone else and liked to look down on others. On the way, he encountered dozens of carriages carried by magical beasts that shot by like lightning. There were several times when they got close to Long Chen, wanting to frighten him, as if seeing Long Chen's face contorted in fear was an exceptionally amazing thing. But Long Chen ignored them. Other than that first wave, the rest weren't so senseless as to really go kill an unarmed and defenseless weakling. Their luck was not bad. If they had tried to kill Long Chen, their ending would be no better than the previous people. The thing that surprised Long Chen was that these people were all Xiantian experts, and the flame energy fluctuations coming from them were extremely strong. They had to be powerful alchemists. From that appearance, it seemed they were all pill emperors. Originally, Long Chen had been planning on concealing his alchemy arts to the pill king level, but now it seemed he didn't need to. After over 2 hours of travel, a huge city gate appeared in front of him. Those people in carriages all descended far away from here and walked over. They took out their identity badges at the inner city gates. Many guards were carefully going through people's badges before letting them through. When it was Long Chen's turn, he gave them the tablet that Grandmaster Yun Qi had entrusted to him. When the guards saw Long Chen's badge, his pupils shrank slightly. He examined Long Chen, but he didn't say anything, and he let him through. That discovery startled Long Chen. Was his badge different from other people's? But before he could figure it out, he was swept up by the crowd. Long Chen hadn't expected for there to be this many people. There were actually hundreds of people already. He saw a great deal of excitement on their faces, as if this registration was something they had been looking forward to for a long time. He suddenly felt that something was wrong. It seemed this tablet wasn't like he thought it was. There were no pill kings present. They were all pill emperors. Following the crowd, he eventually reached a large group of over 1,000 people. There were young and old, large and small. There was a black stone 30 meters tall ahead. Ancient runes had been carved into the stone, and Long Chen didn't know what it did. In front of the black stone was an elder with a brush who was conducting some sort of registration. Name: Zhu Deyong. Origin: Prefecture's Alchemy Guild. Take the test. After recording this information, he emotionlessly pointed to the stone. There was a small set of stairs for people to walk up to it. When that person reached the stone, its countless runes lit up, bathing that person in light. Ancient characters appeared on it. The elder nodded. 87 years old meets the standard. Next is the strength of your soul. Press your hand on the red button and send in your spiritual strength. The registrant listened and placed his hand on the red button. A small portal appeared in front of him. That wasn't a true portal, but just something for him to send his spiritual strength in. A line of words appeared on the stone. First tier Xian class. Disqualified. The elder drew a large X over. That person could only sadly leave. Following that person's failure, quite a few people's hearts clenched. Another person went up to take the test. 10 people took the test in a row. There were 5 fails and 5 passes. Long Chun saw that the requirements were that you had to be under 100 years old and have reached the Earth class in spiritual strength. Furthermore, if you passed, you would be given a ranking based on your age and soul energy. So far, the only rankings he had seen were acceptable and excellent. As time passed, some failed and left. Suddenly, Long Chun saw a familiar figure. Wasn't that the fellow he had viciously slapped? This person also saw Long Chun lined up behind him. His group had long since started pointing at him with disdainful and provocative expressions. After being taught a lesson by Long Chun, they were planning on getting revenge here. In his group, several people failed in a row. This test was not the same as their ordinary tests. They had passed the ordinary tests, but now that they came here, they were still washed out. "Name?" asked the elder again. It had finally come to the turn of the person Long Chen had slapped. He confidently replied, "Go Heba." The elder's expression immediately sank, and he slapped that person across the face. "Fuck your mother. How dare you waste my time?" Sounds the same as dog penis. Chapter 653. That person let out a miserable cry as he was slapped into the stone wall behind him. He fainted, causing a burst of startled cries. Go Heba? He was definitely looking for a beating. Otherwise, why would he state such a name? Long Chen was speechless. "Senior, Brother Heba wasn't trying to waste your time. His name really is Go Heba. His father is the illustrious Go Ridi," explained someone hastily. Hearing that, everyone's expressions became exceedingly odd. "Go Ridi? Go Heba? Were you certain he wasn't just wasting everyone's time with nonsense?" "The Jilua Prefecture's Go family?" asked the elder with sudden comprehension. "Yes." Sorry. It was a misunderstanding. "As expected, the Go family's people really are amazing," said the elder awkwardly. At this time, others had long since helped Go Heba up and given him a healing pill. He gradually recovered. "Senior, this junior truly is called Go Heba. The Ji refers to Jilua Prefecture's blue sea, while the Ba refers to pushing oneself to seek the heaven's will," said Go Heba extremely sullenly. "It was my fault. Let's continue." Name? Go Heba. Origin: Jilua Prefecture's Alchemist Guild. Alright, take the test. Age: 31. Excellent. Spiritual strength: 7th tier Earth class. Excellent. The Go family's people really are not bad. The elder nodded with praise and wrote down a new rank: outstanding. Acceptable. Excellent. Outstanding. Now there was a third rank. This Go Heba was truly not bad. Go Heba laughed heartily. But that ended up causing him pain as it pulled on his injury, and tears squeezed out of his eyes as if his extreme joy had turned to sorrow. The failures all left sadly. The remaining people all had pleased smiles, which contained some ridicule toward those people who were still nervously waiting. Out of Go Heba's group of 8, 4 had failed and 4 had succeeded. The 4 failures could only leave, but the other 4 didn't reveal any mourning. After some fake words of comfort, they said nothing more. Name: Duan Tianxiao. Long Chen turned to see a female alchemist with surprise. She wasn't tall, but she had a delicate figure. She was extremely unremarkable in the crowd. Now that she was pointed out, she drew everyone's attention. Due to the fact that women were on the yin side but Pill Flame was on the yang side, female alchemists were rare. Even the elder was surprised. He examined her and continued, "Origin? Lihua Prefecture's Alchemist Guild. Take the test." "Yes." She smiled and confidently walked up to the stairs. Light enveloped her. Age: 26. When this number appeared, everyone was startled. To have reached the Xiantian realm at just 26 was truly terrifying. Go Heba's pleased smile stiffened upon seeing this. He had been 31 when he advanced to Xiantian, and that was already extremely impressive amongst alchemists. But this woman was much younger than he was. Spiritual strength: 9th tier Earth class. Good, very good. With your soul energy, it won't be long before you can refine 6th tier medicinal pills. The elder was extremely moved. This was his first time saying so many words. Many thanks for your praise, senior. I simply want to devote myself to cultivating in the pill tower. Duan Tianxiao bowed toward the elder modestly. Although she acted modest, her eyes betrayed her excitement, proving that her inner heart wasn't as calm as she appeared. Ah, good. Young people should not be arrogant to truly make something out of themselves, praised the elder. That made Go Heba displeased, as he had clearly been a bit arrogant just now. However, he was comforted to see that Duan Tianxiao's rank was the same as his, outstanding. In other words, they were still at the same level. The people after Duan Tianxiao seemed to be influenced by her. Of 30+ people, only 7 passed. Finally, Long Chen was the last one left. Name? Long San, replied Long Chen. The elder frowned, looking at Long Chen. This name didn't sound like anything outstanding. Origin? Qing Prefecture's wild horse, fat sheep, pig butchering mountain forest village, answered Long Chen. This location was real. Back when he had encountered the Muxue mercenary unit, they had passed by this village. Long Chen still remembered it because this name was too memorable. Are you trying to waste my time? The elder almost raised his hand and slapped him. But having made his earlier mistake, he held himself back. Hearing this, everyone was dumbfounded. The people who arrived here all had to go show their various alchemy guilds tokens to enter. How had Long San managed to get in? As for Go Heba, as soon as he heard this nonsense location, he thought that this Long San was doomed. But the slap he anticipated never came, almost making him explode in fury. Why had he been slapped for speaking his real name, while this brat didn't get slapped when he clearly was just asking for it? Definitely not. I'm telling the truth, promised Long Chen solemnly. How did you get in? I gave the guard my badge and he let me in. Long Chen showed his badge to the elder. When the elder saw the badge, his pupils shrank. Pill Valley's badge? Where did you get this? My master gave it to me. On the eve of his death, he told me I could use this badge to join Pill Valley, and then I'd definitely have food to eat, said Long Chen. Food to eat? Everyone was flabbergasted. A grand alchemist actually couldn't even feed himself? Was that an insult to the Pill Tower? Who is your master? He was called Yun Qi. I was raised by him, and he taught me alchemy deep in the mountains. I never left the mountains, but one day he was heavily injured, and he gave me this badge before he died, wanting me to find a place to make a living. He said with my talent, I'd definitely have food to eat and wine to drink here. I could buy a carriage, a house, and even get multiples wives and concubines, said Long Chen. The elder almost laughed. The Pill Tower had been taken as a place to make a living? But this was an authentic Pill Valley badge, and they were very rare. In truth, the Pill Valley had long since stopped issuing such badges. In fact, most of them had already been taken back. When running into this badge, the Pill Tower had to give the owner a fair chance. Those were the rules of Pill Valley. Do you know what we're doing here? Asked the elder. No. Long Chen shook his head. This is the Centennial Pill Emperor competition. It is to determine the true emperor amongst pill emperors. Are you sure you want to participate? Asked the elder. The true emperor amongst pill emperors? Will there be a good reward? Long Chen's eyes shone. He hadn't expected to run into something that good. The elder didn't know whether to laugh or cry, feeling like this foolish mountain brat didn't understand anything. Let's not talk about the reward for now. Let's see if you have the qualifications to even enter. We're going to test your age and spiritual strength. The elder directly left a blank space for Long Chen's origin and moved on to the next section. Long Chen walked up the steps. Go Heba immediately sneered, waiting to see Long Chen's embarrassment. Age, 18. Everyone was stupefied, looking at Long Chen like he was a freak. This dumb mountain brat was only 18 years old? Had there been a mistake? Even the elder felt like something was wrong and redid the test, only to receive the same result. 18-year-old brat and he reached the Xiantian realm. Isn't this just nonsense? How could an alchemist cultivate so quickly? He didn't train his soul energy? Is he even an alchemist? Clamor erupted. Alchemists couldn't cultivate quickly, because their cultivation base was secondary. Their spiritual strength and pill flame were more important. If they cultivated too fast, their alchemy skills wouldn't be able to keep up. They would be crippling their future. So alchemists would all spend a great deal of time training their pill flame and spiritual strength. Duan Tianxiao's age had already been the limit. Long Chen couldn't possibly be a real alchemist. No one would believe such an absurdity. Shut up. If you make such an uproar again, I'll immediately expel you, shouted the elder. This elder was a sea expansion expert and a powerful alchemist. His spiritual strength was extremely powerful, and he sensed that Long Chen was different. Now let's test your spiritual strength, said the elder. A small portal appeared in front of Long Chen. He felt a powerful pressure that was trying to suppress his spiritual strength. It was no wonder those people had been so confident but still failed. The problem lay here. It seemed this test was completely different from what they had taken before. Long Chen hesitated for a moment, but in the end he slowly sent in his spiritual strength. When Long Chen's spiritual strength touched the portal, the entire stone bloomed with light. This is Heaven class. First tier Heaven class spiritual strength, cried the elder with wild delight. Heaven class. Everyone turned wooden. Go Heba looked especially amazing. His jaw could not drop any lower, and his eyes were almost circular. 18-year-old Xiantian expert? Spiritual strength that had reached the first tier Heaven class? Was this just a story? The elder directly wrote down a 4th rank for Long Chen's talent. Genius. Acceptable, excellent, outstanding, and genius. Long Chen's rank was the highest until now. Long Chen smiled slightly. This was just the slightest bit of his soul energy. If he had used his full strength, that stone would have instantly exploded. That would probably frighten a few of these people to death. But doing so would be too much and not be favorable for his plans. After the registration, Long Chen asked around and found that there was a total of 3 days for registration. There were still many more people to come, and Long Chen was too lazy to watch them. Saying goodbye to the elder, he left. Once he returned to the small alley, he suddenly noticed there were many more burly fellows than before. At the same time, he heard a wail from the small courtyard he was staying at. He quickened his footsteps. If you're sensible, you'll immediately scram. Suddenly, 2 large men blocked his path. Sounds like something similar to Dog's Hit. Chapter 654. Long Chen raised his hand and directly slapped the 2 of them in the face. These 2 were only at blood condensation, and they were directly sent flying, crashing into the dozen people behind them. Long Chen had no time to deal with their shock, and he rushed into the courtyard. The courtyard was still there, but Xiao Cui and her grandfather were pushed into a corner. The old man's face was bruised and bleeding. Xiao Cui was terrified but still trying to protect him, even begging for mercy. Please, stop hitting my grandpa, cried Xiao Cui. Within their group, there was a man with a scar on his face who angrily cursed, "Idiot peasant, we've already said that Junior Master Huo wants this land. We told you to scram, but you refused to leave. Now, if you still don't leave, we'll directly kill you. Sirs, please have pity on us. I spent my life savings in order to buy this place so I could rely on it to survive. Kicking us out is equivalent to taking our lives," cried the elder. "Idiots, Junior Master Huo has long since placed his sights on this place. Can't you see that everyone else has already left? Why would you still buy this place? Shut up and scram. In a few days, we will be constructing a grand residence here, and you're obstructing our work," shouted the scarred man impatiently. But we spent money on this place. We even have the deed. How can you kick us out?" cried Xiao Cui. "Oh, you have the deed? Then that's easy. Show me and we'll compensate you with the original price," said the scarred man. Xiao Cui was delighted and hastily ran into the room. In just a moment she came out with a tattered page. "This is the deed. See, we weren't lying." The scarred man took the deed and nodded. Correct, this really is the deed. Then he smiled and tore the deed to pieces right in front of Xiao Chui, throwing the scraps into the wind. Xiao Chui immediately became dumbfounded. Now where's the deed? Scram! Shouted the scarred man. Oh, you bully! Xiao Chui had never imagined these people could be so vile. They even destroyed their deed. She began to wail. The scarred man frowned. He impatiently waved his hand to the people behind him. Take them away. Brother Dao, if they keep screaming like this, it won't be good, said one of them. Are you an idiot? Knock them unconscious. Could it be that you don't even know how to do something like that? Find somewhere to bury the old man. As for the brat, she's still a female. Do whatever you want to. And hurry up because we still have work to do. If we're too slow, none of us will have a good ending, ordered the scarred man. Several people's eyes lit up. They were just about to move when an icy voice rang out. I'm really curious how you can be so repulsive without the heavens doing anything to put you in your place. The scarred man jumped. He hadn't even noticed that another person had appeared in the courtyard. It had to be known that he was a bone-forging expert. Seeing the black-robed, suntanned man with an evil smile on the face, he shouted, Who are you? You dare meddle in our affairs. Big brother, they're completely unreasonable. Xiao Chui seemed to have seen her final hope, and she cried out. Xiao Chui, don't cry. This is just a dream. Sleep, and when you awake, everything will be over. Following his words, Xiao Chui and her grandfather's eyelids became heavy, and they fell asleep. Turning back to the scarred man, Long Chen didn't say anything. He just indifferently looked at them. What are you planning? For some unknown reason, the scarred man felt a chill. I'm planning how many pieces I can cut you into, and just which way I should do it for it to be perfect, said Long Chen, sizing up the scarred man. You really are looking to die. Don't think that you can resist us just because you have some insignificant abilities. We're doing the work of the Pill Tower's Hua family, warned the scarred man. Mentioning the Hua family, his confidence rose. At this time, the others outside had also charged into the courtyard. Over 40 people surrounded Long Chen. Friend, you should leave. Although you've concealed your cultivation base, you're still only an ant in front of the Hua family, said the scarred man. The Hua family? We really are tied together by destiny. Could it be that the heavens fated me to fight with the Hua family? I didn't even go find them yet, but they came to find me. This matter was a bit thorny. Right now, his best option was to bring away Xiao Chui and her grandfather. These people wouldn't dare to make it hard on him. But that was something against his principles. If he didn't kill these dregs, he'd feel like it would be unworthy of their appearance. And yet, if he immediately fought with the Hua family as soon as he arrived, it would be too conspicuous. Although these people were just dogs, a dog's death would still draw the attention of its master. Suddenly, a huge figure flew over in the sky. It was a Xiantian falcon magical beast that whistled past them. Long Chen ignored it. Looking at these fellows, in the end, he decided to exterminate them. Caring so much about consequences wasn't his style. Just as Long Chen was about to attack, the falcon returned and a dozen people jumped off its back. There were both men and women. They were in luxurious clothes and were young Xiantian experts. The person at the lead had thick eyebrows and large eyes. He wore a golden crown on his head. Oh, why would the Hua family's dogs come to bite people here? That person disdainfully looked at the scarred man. Junior Master Fong. The scarred man immediately turned pale and began to sweat. Pow! A large hand slapped across the scarred man's face, and that Junior Master Fong angrily shouted, Fuck off! My name sounds so vile coming from your mouth. Long Chen's eyes brightened. This Junior Master Fong was actually also an expert face slapper. This slap in the face had been too beautiful. It was clean and efficient. It seemed he was also a generation's genius, and Long Chen couldn't help but have a good feeling toward him. The scarred man didn't dare get angry. This slap in the face hadn't contained much power, but the humiliation of it was much greater. Suddenly, the sound of Long Chen's clapping rang out. Junior Master Fong's expression sank, and he icily stared at Long Chen. "What are you doing?" "Sir's face slap was simply too perfect. Your slap was smooth, while the arc was graceful. That handsome posture is truly admirable." Long Chen smiled. "Oh, not bad, not bad. You were actually able to see that. Could it be that you're also proficient in this Tao?" Junior Master Fong's eyes brightened. "I don't dare say that I'm proficient. I just know a bit," said Long Chen modestly. Long Chen was extremely enthusiastic to discuss this shared interest. "How about you try it? In all my years, this is my first time seeing a slap cultivator." Junior Master Fong looked at Long Chen excitedly. Slap cultivator? Was he referring to cultivating face slaps? This Junior Master Fong was truly a genius. "Then I'll give a display." Long Chen smiled. When it came to face slapping arts, it seemed his ability in that regard surpassed even his alchemy and combat skills. It was the divine ability he was most proficient in. Phew. Seeing that Long Chen was walking over to him eagerly, the scarred man was both startled and infuriated. When Long Chen's slap came, he immediately raised his hand to block. Pow, 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 pow. But what startled the scarred man was that although he had clearly blocked, he was still struck. In fact, he was repeatedly struck 4 times. Junior Master Fong's eyes almost popped out. This was practically a divine ability. He clearly saw that when the scarred man tried to block, Long Chen's hand would move in a strange arc and avoid his block. It was soft like cotton, but quick as the wind. That strange curve in his technique was practically one that could shake heaven and earth and cause gods to sob. Most importantly, his slaps came in a steady rhythm that was invigorating, giving people an urge to dance. A divine ability. This is definitely a divine ability. "Brother, you must teach me this," cried Junior Master Fong. He had never seen such a face-slapping art. It wasn't just him. The others behind him were also shocked. This face-slapping art was too graceful. "Ha, no problem. Since we all have this grand interest, well, I wouldn't dare say I could teach you, but we can compare notes and share our experience," laughed Long Chen. "Brother, you really are my brother. What should I call you?" Seeing that Long Chen didn't keep his technique secret, he couldn't help feeling extremely favorable toward him. "Long San." "Ha, Brother Long San. I'm bigger than you, so you can call me Big Brother Fong. In Pilyang Prefecture, as long as you mention my name, I guarantee no one will dare to bully you," said Junior Master Fong confidently. Long Chen was startled. This confidence and the fact that he dared to beat the Hua family's dogs, could it be that he was from the Pill Tower's Fong family? Thinking of that, Long Chen couldn't help slapping his leg in excitement. This was practically perfect. He had just been thinking of how he was supposed to muddle his way into the Pill Tower. This blessing had come too suddenly. Long Chen had already asked around. Pilyang Prefecture had 3 families that controlled it. They were the Hua family, the Fong family, and the Chai family. They were the ones that controlled the Pill Tower. "Alright, Big Brother Fong, seeing how courteous you are, let me put on a show for you. First of all, a face-slapping art seeks to strike like the wind, to be as fast as lightning, to be as hard as a mountain, to be soft like cotton, to come in waves like the waves of the sea, to be completely unblockable. This Tao is truly limitless, and each advancement you make is merely a grain of sand in a desert." As Long Chen spoke, Junior Master Fong seemed drunk. He hadn't imagined that face-slapping arts were backed by such profound principles. "Brother Fong, look closely. I'll give you a demonstration of what it means to be swift." After saying that, Long Chen smiled sinisterly at the scarred man. Hua equals fire. Fong equals the word for formula in pill formula. Chai equals firewood. Chapter 655. Pow Pow. This is how you start. 1 heart, 2 strikes. Control your power naturally and effortlessly, heavy and light. Pow, 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 pow. Do you see? This is the rhythm. 4 beats at a time can be transformed, becoming 8 beats, 16 beats. To make it a perfect set? As Long Chen explained, his hand didn't stop. No matter how the scarred man tried to dodge, the tempo never changed. That scene dazzled everyone with its perfection. Most importantly, each of Long Chen's slaps caused such a loud ringing sound that was incredibly clear, and yet, they didn't cause any injury. The scarred man's skin hadn't even split open. It could be seen that his control had truly reached the pinnacle. Amazing, absolutely amazing. Let me try it. Junior Master Fong was delighted. He had truly met a master today. Long Chen paused and he immediately went forward, slapping the scarred man across the face. But he only managed to slap him once when the scarred man unconsciously dodged the second. "Fuck you dare dodge. If you try that again, I'll slap you to death," raged Junior Master Fong. Encountering such a master was so rare, but this infuriating fellow refused to cooperate. "Pow pow. Brother Long, is it like this?" Junior Master Fong slapped the scarred man twice across the face and then asked Long Chen for his opinion. The scarred man was fuming. How had he been so unlucky as to run into such a calamity? But now he didn't even dare to dodge, or he really could be killed if he provoked him. The first attack uses the shoulder to move the arm. But in truth, it is the shoulder putting forth the power. Your second attack should use your wrist to move your hand. Use a slight rotation, and your speed will increase a great deal. Keep your posture elegant and your movements clean. That will cause anyone watching to feel refreshed and relaxed. That is what a truly high-class and imposing face-slapping art should be like, said Long Chen. Pow pow. Yes, this is the feeling. Too refreshing. Junior Master Fong truly was a genius. After just a bit of guidance, he immediately grasped the concept. Those people following Junior Master Fong truly did feel refreshed and relaxed now. Long Chen stealthily probed those people. Their spiritual strengths were extremely powerful, and a blazing flame aura came from their spiritual yuan. Those were fluctuations of pill flame. In other words, these had to be powerful alchemists. It seemed this Junior Master Fong's status was exceedingly high. But he didn't put on any airs with him, so he wasn't that bad of a person. Long Chen was unaware that this Junior Master Fong was one of the masters of Pilyang Prefecture, and the only reason he didn't put on any airs with him was because he admired Long Chen's divine ability. Seeing that the others were also eager for a try, Long Chen encouraged, "Everyone, don't be shy. If you want to try it, then go ahead. There are enough test subjects here for everyone, so don't be courteous." That's right. Come try it, it really is addictive." Junior Master Fong also encouraged his people. Only then did they walk over. "You, get over here and be slapped." As soon as these people tried the slapping art, miserable screams rang out. These people were alchemists with grand statuses. They had never done anything like this before, and as a result, their control over their physical strength was extremely lacking. These people's facial bones immediately shattered from one slap. One person even accidentally killed someone with his slap, causing the others to turn red with fury. But Junior Master Fong simply laughed. This kind of divine ability isn't something that just anyone can learn. As for us, we should just give up. One of them shook his head and stopped trying. No. Just treat it as accompanying me. Otherwise, it'll be boring by myself, said Junior Master Fong as he continued to focus on his practice. An hour later, all those people's faces were like pigs. Their heads were incredibly swollen. The people that had come with Junior Master Fong were all ashamed. Despite how careful they tried to be, they were unable to perfectly control their strength. They were alchemists. Having them control their pill flames was easy, but to control their physical strength was not their strong suit. However, everyone had no choice but to admit that Junior Master Fong truly had exceedingly high talent when it came to face slapping. Even after an hour of practice, the scarred man's face had only turned slightly red and swollen. He wasn't truly injured. Even Long Chen had to nod. Junior Master Fong, don't you think bothering a bunch of nobodies like them is a loss to your status? Suddenly, A voice rang out from the sky. Long Chen raised his head to see a violet-robed elder with an exquisite tower symbol embroidered onto his chest. A pair of wings kept him afloat. What does that have to do with your Hua family? Do you have the qualifications to speak to me? Junior Master Fong stopped his training. After an hour of bitter practice, he was a bit tired. He obviously recognized this sea expansion expert. But from his tone, it seemed he didn't like the Hua family. That made Long Chen smile. You're the Fong family's junior master, the future family head. Of course I don't have the qualifications to criticize you. But your actions are a loss to your status, said the sea expansion expert as he slowly floated down to the ground. His words weren't overly rude, but his tone did have some ridicule. You're bored, so you want to be a pain in my ass? If I want to teach a lesson to a few dogs that bullied people, so what? You have an opinion? Sneered Junior Master Fong. This is Junior Master Hua's new residence. He's in the process of building it, and all they did was clean out the stragglers who had no business being here. Junior Master Fong, your actions are a bit overboard, said the elder. A threat had already crept into his words. Seeing that, Long Chen laughed inside. It seemed the Hua and Fong families were quite hostile to each other. In fact, they were openly antagonistic without any fear. That was definitely good. He suddenly interjected, if your junior master Hua wants to make a grave for himself where other people are living, he should compensate the house owners, don't you think? Can he really just take other people's property without giving a single copper coin? When your dogs came to randomly bite others, bullying the innocents and defenseless commoners in broad daylight, they lost the face of the pill tower. Do you even understand that? Your dogs humiliated and insulted the name of the sacred pill tower. Junior Master Fong is an upright man, and seeing the crimes these people committed, he stood up for justice and gave them their due punishment. That is what a real hero should do. He beat these dogs to protect the pill tower's radiance. Tell me, just where did he go overboard? Long Chen's righteous words made Junior Master Fong laugh inside. He had only attacked because he found the Hua family's people to be displeasing to the eye. But now that Long Chen put it this way, he had become a hero of the pill tower, protecting it from shame. He puffed his chest with self-confidence. What nonsense! Who do you think you are to interrupt when I'm talking? Raged the sea expansion expert. He didn't dare release any fury on Junior Master Fong, but not just anyone could speak to him. He now released his fury on Long Chen. Junior Master Fong was just about to speak up for Long Chen when he saw Long Chen's shoulder move ever so slightly. Pow! Long Chen's hand slapped across the elder's face. This time, his strength was shockingly high, and the elder was sent flying. Boom! Xiao Chui's little house was blown apart, wooden fragments filling the air. Everyone was shocked. What? Beautiful! While everyone else was stupefied, Junior Master Fong cheered. This slap had practically reached a supernatural level. Bastard die! The sea expansion expert roared and charged at Long Chen furiously, his palm crashing down. Space trembled intensely. This was a terrifying attack that made it so no one else could breathe. Just as Long Chen was still undecided over whether or not he should continue slapping him, Junior Master Fong stood in front of him, blocking the elder. Old ghost, if you have the guts, you can try it. The elder's fury had soared after being slapped in the face by Long Chen. Being slapped by a junior almost drove him crazy with fury. So he hadn't held back at all with this attack. He wanted Long Chen dead immediately. But seeing Junior Master Fong appearing in front of him, his expression completely changed, and he hastily pulled back his strength. If anything happened to Junior Master Fong, not even 100 deaths would make up for it. The Fong family would be furious. He was both startled and infuriated, and as a result of this sudden retraction of his own strength, his aura fluctuated tumultuously and he vomited a mouthful of blood. You really want to shield him? Raged the elder. Doesn't that go without saying? Why wouldn't I protect my brother? Junior Master Fong had, of course, expected this result. Good. After spitting out 3 goods, The elder's wings shook and he disappeared from their gazes. "What are you still doing here?" Scram. "Looking at your ugly faces makes me nauseous. Or do you want to start anew?" said Junior Master Fong at the Hua family's people. They hadn't been allowed to leave before, and staying had been misery. So hearing this, they were delighted and they hastily fled. "Long San, your face-slapping divine ability is truly unrivaled. You have to properly teach me. Don't worry, I won't treat you unfairly. Let's go find a place to eat." Junior Master Fong was extremely excited. Seeing Long Chen slap the sea expansion expert in the face almost made him prostrate himself in admiration. That move had been too amazing. Long Chen first woke up Xiao Chui and her grandpa. He took out a few hundred gold coins for them. He didn't dare give them too much, or it might cause others to become jealous and kill them. A few hundred gold coins should be enough for them to live for many years. And if they saved it properly, it would be enough for their lifetime. Xiao Chui was incomparably grateful to Long Chen. It was only after Long Chen advised them to go quickly that they left. After handling Xiao Chui's matter, Long Chen, Junior Master Fong, and the others all flew back to the Treasure Tower region. Chapter 656, 656. The entire top floor of a grand and soaring building in the Treasure Tower region had been completely reserved by Junior Master Fong. No one else was permitted to enter. "Brother Long, you've really opened my eyes today. Previously, I always thought that face slaps were only for people weaker than you, but seeing you slap that elder, I realized the truth. Let me offer you a cup." Junior Master Fong actually stood up and toasted with Long Chen with both hands. Everyone's expressions changed slightly, and they all felt a trace of hostility toward Long Chen. Junior Master Fong cared too much about Long Chen. None of them had said a word to Long Chen the entire time. In their eyes, Long Chen was just a martial artist. He couldn't be compared to grand alchemists. They hadn't openly displayed any contempt for him because they were giving face to Junior Master Fong. But now Junior Master Fong was so respectful to him, which displeased them. Just by relying on some face-slapping art, he had managed to gain so much favor from Junior Master Fong. That luck was absolutely ridiculous. "Brother Fong is too courteous. Cheers." Long Chen laughed and touched his cup to Junior Master Fong's. The wine was excellent. It had actually been made out of over 100 rare medicines and was extremely beneficial to a person's soul. "Brother Long, let me introduce you. These people are all alchemists who came to participate in the Pill Emperor competition. They are all elites in the alchemy world," said Junior Master Fong. These people had all been drawn into Junior Master Fong's camp early so that they wouldn't end up on the side of the other two families. Although they were all part of the Pill Tower, the Hua family, Fong family, and Chai family all cared most about their people. That would determine how high their position would be in the future. These people had been pulled in by Junior Master Fong in private. As for the registration test, he had directly let them skip it. He had originally brought everyone out to go hunting and amuse themselves. But on the way, they had seen people from the Hua family. They had gone down to amuse themselves, but as a result, they had encountered Long Chen. No, I wouldn't dare call myself an elite. Compared to Brother Long's beautiful face slaps, alchemy is just a minor Dao, laughed one of them. Long Chen glanced at this person and shook his head inside. As expected, wherever there were people, there was competition. These people had pointed their spears at him so quickly. This person's true meaning was extremely obvious. He was just good at slapping people in the face, while they were grand alchemists. The difference between them was like heaven and earth. Junior Master Fong's high regard for Long Chen had brought on their displeasure, as he had never treated them so grandly before. When someone goes and practically pushes their face in front of you, it would be wrong for you to not slap them. That's how I managed to train my art. If brother is interested, I can give you some private lessons. Long Chen smiled. These words were a bit impolite. But if someone wanted him to slap them, he definitely wouldn't hesitate. He had clearly shown his attitude now. For these people, you couldn't give them face, or they would say and do even more irritating things. Alright, let's not fight. It was fate that brought us together. Let's all toast to that. Junior Master Fong sensed the atmosphere was getting tense, and he hastily raised his cup with a laugh. Everyone followed suit. They cared deeply about the Fong family's strength. On the surface, the Pill Tower was one whole entity, but it was actually controlled by the three families. Entering one of these three families was equivalent to having boundless resources and innumerable cultivation opportunities for them. So they had to be extremely courteous to him. If they offended Junior Master Fong, their future prospects would be ruined. Junior Master Fong was extremely happy today. He had managed to entice several talented alchemists to his side, as well as encountered a master midway through a trip. I hear this is Brother Long's first time coming to Pilyang Prefecture. This is a world for alchemists. What plans do you have in coming here? Asked one person. This person's offhand question was extremely sharp and displeasing. Long Chen smiled and was about to reply when footsteps rang out from below. Junior Master Fong's expression sank. He had already reserved this place. But someone still dared come up and disturb them. Junior Master Chai. When he saw who had come up, Junior Master Fong leaped up and laughed. The others didn't feel right sitting when Junior Master Fong was standing, so they also stood. Long Chen looked at the newcomers. A total of 10 people had come. The person at the front was a medium-sized, square-faced man with an imposing mannerism. This person was the future heir of one of the Pill Tower's three great families, the Chai family's #1 junior generation's alchemy genius. The Junior Master Fong, I heard you have reserved this place. Recently, I've been embarrassingly short of money. You wouldn't mind if I cadged a meal of you, right? Laughed Junior Master Chai. Junior Master Chai, you're joking. Come, let me introduce you. These are my precious guests. Obviously, these two had a very close relationship. They hastily asked the restaurant to bring up a larger table and more food. Junior Master Fong, you really are fast. You actually have 3 more than me, sighed Junior Master Chai. Hee, it was luck, said Junior Master Fong. But he was clearly pleased. Wait, what? You are Long San. Junior Master Chai suddenly looked at Long Chen with shock. You know Long San? Asked Junior Master Fong, surprised. What the fuck? You were way too fast. I only just received the news, but you already pulled him in, said Junior Master Chai. What are you talking about? What news? Tisich, keep acting. Long San is the only one to be given a genius rating in the competition's registration so far. At 18 years old, his soul energy has reached the first-tier heaven class. Don't bother trying to tell me that you didn't know and just randomly picked him up off the street. Junior Master Fong was stunned. Even the people beside him were stunned. This Long San had such an origin. Brother Long, you're an alchemist? Asked Junior Master Fong. Yes. What the fuck? Why didn't you tell me sooner? Now I look like an idiot. Cursed Junior Master Fong. Well, the main thing is that you never asked. Long Chen shrugged. Junior Master Chai saw that it didn't seem like they were acting. After asking a few questions, he turned speechless. This dog's hit luck of yours is way too strong. I really have to concede. I already sent people to go look for Long San, but you ended up randomly picking him up first. According to the rules, the registrants that passed would go through a meeting where some old alchemists would give them some tips. But that was useless to Long Chen. He had his pill god memories. Why would he need other people's alchemy tips? So he had just directly left. It was only later that people realized he had disappeared. So the three families had immediately started a search for Long San, wanting to pull him into their camp. Such a talented alchemist was too rare. As a result, while they searched all over, Junior Master Fong had picked him up while thinking of going hunting. Furthermore, he hadn't even known he was an alchemist. Junior Master Fong, since you didn't know he was an alchemist, it wouldn't count as stealing. Junior Master Chai laughed mischievously. Don't even try it. Long San is my brother. Don't even think about taking my brother away. Long Chen could see that although the two of them represented two different families, they were extremely close. They were even able to make such jokes. The food's here. Let's eat. Junior Master Fong waved his hand, and everyone sat down. Long Chen was sitting between the two junior masters. Everyone else's gazes were filled with envy, but they were also helpless. Their soul energy had only reached the 7th to 9th tier Earth class. Thus, they could only reach the outstanding rank. There was no way for them to compare to Long Chen. Those people that had been displeased with Long Chen were now even more irritated. Originally, they had thought Long Chen was just a martial artist who only relied on a face-slapping art to get close to Junior Master Fong. They had never expected him to be a genius rank alchemist. The people who had insulted him felt like they were sitting on pins. They also cursed inside. If he was such a strong alchemist, why hadn't he said so earlier? Was it to make himself appear low-key? He had made complete fools out of them. Junior Master Fong hadn't gone to the testing region, as there were naturally people from his family who had kept watch for him. But Junior Master Chai had kept a photographic jade recording of what had happened over there. He had even shown the section regarding Long San to his family, which had greatly shaken them. They all felt he had to be drawn to their side. Long San, I have a little sister who is as beautiful as a heavenly fairy. She is outstanding, said Junior Master Chai suddenly. Stop. Long San, don't listen to him. His sister might be pretty, but she's only 8. Don't get duped, said Junior Master Fong. So what if she's only 8? You can cultivate the Pill Dao for countless years. 10 years can pass in the blink of an eye. She'll quickly grow up, quibbled Junior Master Chai. Long Chen laughed. Junior Master Chai, I appreciate your kindness. But Junior Master Fong recognized my worth without even knowing I was an alchemist, accepting me as a brother. I, Long San, will never forget that kindness. Toward the end, his voice was a bit low with emotion. Junior Master Fong was incomparably moved, and he was also extremely proud of himself. This simple matter had locked a genius to his Fong family's side. Alright, then I'll give up. Well, our Chai and Fong families get along very well, so being over there is the same to me. Let's toast as a celebration. Junior Master Chai had truly given up now. Long Chen's promise had already displayed his resolve. In truth, this phrase of his had been extremely brilliant. He had directly erased Junior Master Fong's misgivings while also causing him to feel emotional and proud. Once most of the food was eaten, Long Chen asked the two of them for their real names. They were already so close, but he still didn't know their names. That was a bit rude. I'm Fong Chang and he's Chai Liehua, answered Junior Master Fong. Hearing their names, Long Chen's jaw suddenly dropped, and he seemed completely shocked. Chapter 657. Seeing Long Chen's sudden change in expression, Fong Chang, Chai Liehua, and the others became curious. What was Long Chen doing? Were those two names really so shocking? But all of them guessed that Long Chen was taking this chance to do some bootlicking. Most likely, he would praise their names for being imposing and amazing. Long San, what's wrong? Asked Fong Chang. What good names? No, excellent names. Long Chen's head rapidly worked. He definitely had to give these two names a good title. Cough, when I encountered those people from the Hua family, one of them shouted a slogan, said Long Chen. What slogan could cause you to be this shocked? And what does this slogan have to do with our names? Asked Fong Chang. I remember it was this. Screw Chai Liehua, damn Fong Chang, Pilyang Prefecture's soul master is Hua Wufang. Long Chen frowned, trying to remember the exact phrase. Hearing this, Chai Liehua and Fong Chang turned green. Everyone was silent. Maybe I misheard? The voice from the Hua family's man wasn't very clear. Maybe I did hear wrong. Back then I was extremely curious. What idiot would make up such a garbage slogan? It doesn't rhyme, and it doesn't flow off the tongue. But now hearing your names, it kind of seems... Long Chen suddenly shut his mouth. This Hua Wufang is getting more and more arrogant. If only Long Chen had killed him back then. Shouted Chai Liehua hatefully. Hearing that, Long Chen almost jumped. They knew his name? How? Everyone can continue eating. Chai Liehua, Long San, and I are going next door to drink some tea. The three of them found a private room. An attendant came to pour them tea. I, Fong Chong, don't have many strong points. When I handle things, I just do what I like to do. In the same way, I make friends based on my personal preference. You can also tell that I treat you differently than the others. They are subordinates I coaxed over. Both sides benefit. They care about my Fong family's position and the resources we can offer them, while my Fong family cares about their talent. Pulling them in strengthens our power. It could be said to be just cooperation. But you are different. In my opinion, anyone skilled in face-slapping is a straightforward man who doesn't like to conceal his true self. Furthermore, your face-slapping divine ability is something I truly admire. Most importantly, the fact that you could teach me its divine essence without even knowing who I was, without seeking fame or profit, makes me think of you as a friend. However, now I find you're actually a genius alchemist. That is extremely unexpected, but I hope this change in your status won't affect our relationship, said Fong Chong. Brother Fong, the kindness you've given me is something I'm well aware of. The reason I've joined you isn't because I care about your Fong family strength, but because I admire your character, said Long Chen. Good, that's the most trustworthy way. Let's use our tea as wine and toast. Chai Liehua clapped. Long San's character was truly rare. Fong Chong and Chai Liehua were both prodigies who had seen countless people. With a single glance, they could see through a person's general character. Long San was a typical model of someone who could be coaxed, but not forced. Once someone like that made a decision, it would be extremely difficult for anyone to change it. At the same time, such people were also the most trustworthy. Long San, since you can say something like that, I won't be courteous with you. You're only 18, but I'm 35, and Brother Chai is 47-46. Tisich, what's the difference? Anyways, in the future, you should just call me Big Bro Fong and call him Big Bro Chai. We will treat you as a true brother. Let me tell you about our current situation. From Fong Chang's explanation, Long Chen learned that the Pill Tower's state of affairs was much more complicated than he had imagined. The Pill Tower was jointly run by the Hua, Fong, and Chai families. Each of them was in charge of their departments. The Fong family was in charge of researching pill formulas, as well as the growth and recruitment of alchemists. The Chai family was in charge of managing the equipment required for refining pills, such as medicinal ingredients, furnaces, cauldrons, beast flames, secret arts, etc. As for the Hua family, they were in charge of selling the medicinal pills. Originally, this hadn't been an overly important business, but the Hua family still managed to become the boss of the three families, firmly suppressing the Chai and Fong families. The three families competed fiercely with each other. Long Chen learned from Fong Chong that the Pill Tower was merely a means for Pill Valley to stay connected with the rest of the world. Pill Valley chose to send a few powerful alchemy families to manage the Pill Tower. If those families did well, they would be allowed to return to Pill Valley to be groomed. Doing well didn't refer to managing business, but to raising more geniuses. Pill Valley's disciple selection was extremely stringent. The Hua family was in charge of selling medicinal pills. By exploiting that position, they created secret ties to countless sects, allowing them to build a wide net. They learned of many talented alchemists at the first moment, and they would immediately draw them over to their side. As a result, the Hua family was gaining favor with Pill Valley, and they had already begun to stretch their hands outside their department, suppressing the Fong and Chai families. If this continued, it seemed like the two families would be gradually pushed out of the Pill Tower. Is the Hua family really so powerful? Even both of your families can't stop them? Long Chen was startled. It seemed that he had underestimated the Hua family. The main thing is that the Hua family is too despicable. Through selling medicinal pills, they secretly pocketed endless profit. Their financial accounts never add up, but that huge wealth has become their greatest weapon. Furthermore, the Hua family has people in Pill Valley. Last time, even the matter of them selling fake pills was suppressed by them, so you can see how much influence they have, sighed Chai Liehua. Last time, the matter of the fake bone-forging pills had initially caused huge waves, and the main offender was the Hua family. But the Hua family's abilities were truly incredible. Relying on their connections and by paying some money, they managed to settle the matter. But the matter of the fake pills, as well as the most recent matter of the meridian opening pills being announced by the Huayan sect, had been grave blows to the pill tower. Their profits were rapidly declining. The Hua family was a bit panicked now. To win the favor of Pill Valley, they had drawn in a large group of alchemy geniuses. They hoped to raise them into amazing alchemists and then send them to Pill Valley. Otherwise, there was danger of them losing their position. This was a crisis to the Hua family, but it was the best opportunity for the Fang and Chai families. If they could suppress the Hua family this time, then the Hua family would have no geniuses nor money to appease Pill Valley. In this case, it was very likely that Pill Valley might switch them with someone else, and that someone else would most likely be the Fang or Chai family. Long San, we treat you like a brother, but keep these words to yourself, said Chai Liehua. Don't worry, I understand. Although I haven't had any contact with the Hua family, I can tell they aren't anything good from the vile actions of their subordinates, said Long Chen. That's right. From top to bottom, the Hua family is all trash. The heavens really have been blind to allow the Hua family to have so many talented alchemists, said Fang Chang. What? Does the Hua family have a lot of talented people? Asked Long Chen. It's not that. It's just that they're absolutely shameless. Whenever they run into any talented alchemists, they will secretly bring them into their family and raise them. They'll change that person's surname to Hua, turning them into a member of the Hua family. Once they mature, if they're sent to Pill Valley, they'll naturally say that they're from the Hua family's main bloodline, and so it will make the Hua family seem very innately talented. In truth, they're just shameless to the peak, raged Chai Liehua. He clearly looked down on such actions. But the world was like this. There were many shameless people who relied on their shamelessness to succeed. The Hua family's people really are degenerates. They actually intentionally had their subordinates insult you too. How can that be allowed? Although they might not be spreading their slogan yet, I trust that it won't be long before it circulates everywhere throughout the city. Even the kids on the streets will be singing it. It's too despicable. Plus, that last phrase, doesn't it mean that in the future, there will only be the Hua family? Too arrogant, cried Long Chen through clenched teeth. Although this slogan was something Long Chen had made up, he trusted the two of them wouldn't go investigate it. Furthermore, all Long Chen had said was that he thought he had heard someone mutter it. He hadn't said who. It seems the Hua family wants to use this chance to reverse the tides and regain all the losses they have suffered recently. I want to see just what game they're planning this time, sneered Fang Chang. Brother Fang, don't worry. I'll definitely help you handle the Hua family. It's not just for you, but for me, for righteousness. We have to get rid of these despicable people. Within Long Chen's solemn oath, the only sincere part was that it really was for him. Good brother. I won't say any meaningless polite words. This time, let's have a proper fight with the Hua family. Fang Chang patted Long Chen's shoulder. The reason he had explained all this was to make Long Chen feel like he treated him as a trustworthy aide. He had even been planning on displaying more power to give Long Chen enough confidence. But Long Chen only listened to half of his planned speech. All he managed to say was how powerful the Hua family was, but it seemed Long Chen wasn't intimidated. Without hesitation, he stood by his side to fight with the Hua family. Fang Chang was incredibly moved. Even Chai Liehua felt envy for Fang Chang's luck. He had picked up such a treasure through a random stroll, and this treasure was so devoted to him. Don't worry, Long San. My Fang family and the Chai family are allied. The Chai family is in charge of everything required for alchemy. As long as you have enough talent, we can definitely turn you into a generation's alchemy prodigy. We'll give the Hua family a vicious punch, said Fang Chang confidently. A punch might be strong, but I feel like a slap would be the most satisfying. Long Chen laughed sinisterly. Ah, yes. A slap in the face would be the best. Then we'll get to see them stamp with fury, ha! Laughed Fang Chang. Long Chen also laughed with him, filled with delight. Things were progressing even more smoothly than he had anticipated. That's right, you said something about Huo Wufang almost dying to Long Chen? What happened there? Long Chen asked. He wanted to know about Huo Wufang's situation. This is the slogan. I've highlighted their names. If you were to take this literally, it could mean something like, dry firewood ignites, lighting a bright path. Pilyang Prefecture's soul master is Huo Wufang. His name is literally, firewood raging flames. The character in front of it can mean dry, but it can also mean fuck. As in fuck chai liehua. Fang Chang doesn't really mean anything. But it is part of the expression, which means there is still a long time to come. As a commentator pointed out, can mean in the future, which would make it screw chai liehua and then screw Fang Chang later. Chapter 658. Long Chen asked about Huo Wufang's situation with great concern. Last time, he had given him an exclusive, secret medicine to make him possess neither the will to live nor the will to die. In the Jili secret realm, it was all because of Huo Wufang that he had been targeted by both the righteous and corrupt paths, that had caused Lu Fanger and Yi Zhiqiu to perish. In his hatred, Long Chen had given Huo Wufang a specially mixed poison, one that was practically incurable. It had sunk into his broken bones, making it so that they couldn't heal. In the secret realm, Long Chen had broken every bone in his body. Now that he couldn't heal them, he was essentially a slug. He wasn't even able to move. All day, he would be racked with pain. Fuck, just mentioning it gives me rage. Back then, that idiot insisted on messing around and going on an adventure. As a result, he ended up in the Jiuli secret realm and was beaten into a dead dog by Long Chen. That Long Chen really is a vicious character. It's just regretful that he died. Otherwise, we definitely have to treat him to a drink, sighed Fang Chang. Huo Wufang had been in a half-dead state this entire time. Long Chen's poison was too complicated, and without being given the cure, they could not heal him. The Huo family had countless people. They had figured out most of the components of the poison, but none of them dared to try an antidote against this kind of poison. The slightest mistake would cause Huo Wufang to immediately die. It was too dangerous. It had to be known that Huo Wufang was the Huo family's top junior alchemist. Even as a child, they had pampered him, turning him into his unreasonable, haughty self. And so, he had dared to ignore everyone else's objections and secretly entered the Jiuli secret realm for a thrilling adventure. As a result, he had turned into a half-dead man due to Long Chen. Just over half a month ago, that idiot actually appeared in front of us alive and healthy. Back then, we didn't even believe our own eyes. Only afterward did we learn that the Huo family invited a sage doctor skilled in the art of healing to come. They paid an incredible amount for that doctor to extract all that bastard's bones and transplant a new skeleton into him, said Fang Chang. He replaced his entire skeleton? That would cost a huge price. Long Chen was just about to say the exact cost when he caught himself. He had to play the role of someone with limited experience. Exactly. To completely replace a person's bones requires the new bones to come from someone with an extremely strong physical body. For such a huge project, just the required medicinal liquids would probably be enough for you to buy half of Pilyang Prefecture. It really is unknown just how much profit the Huo family has swindled over these years. They were even able to afford such a terrifying transplant, said Chai Liehua indignantly. Half a month ago? That was not long after Long Chen had been sent to the Chaos region. In other words, it had happened after Long Chen had refused to give them the antidote. That was why the Huo family had paid the immense price to heal Huo Wufang. So they wanted to transfer the pain of paying this price to me? Not a bad idea. Regretfully, I'll make them pay an even more painful price. Currently, not only has Huo Wufang completely recovered, but his cultivation base has also broken through to the Xiantian realm. It seems his transplanted bones came from a shocking origin, said Fang Chang. Is Huo Wufang strong? Even the two of you have to be worried about him? Asked Long Chen upon seeing their frowns. Fang Chang and Chai Liehua looked at each other and then helplessly said, Huo Wufang might be trash as a person, but his alchemy arts are exceedingly terrifying. His spiritual strength has reached the 3rd tier heaven class, which is 2 tiers higher than you. Even worse, your master was merely a pill master. But Huo Wufang was raised with the Huo family's full strength. The difference between the two of you is immense. But don't be discouraged. With us present, your alchemy arts will rapidly progress, consoled Feng Chang. Long San came from a poor background, but he was exceedingly talented. And alchemists cared most about talent. As long as you weren't over 100 years old, you could still be properly groomed. Furthermore, Long San was only 18. I won't say too many thanks then. Brothers, your enemies are my enemies. This life of mine will be used to fight against the Huo family. Long Chen patted his chest. Ah, good brother. Let's go drink more, laughed Feng Chang. He pulled Long Chen out of the room, and they continued drinking with everyone. Seeing how courageous Long San was and how he didn't have the slightest terror toward the Huo family, Feng Chang was delighted and he drank his fill. On that very day, Feng Chang set Long Chen up in his own residence. Long Chen was just about to take a rest when a dozen prime women came to wait upon him. Seeing how revealing those clothes were, seeing how their privates were barely concealed, he immediately understood what was going on. Feng Chang was trying to show him some extra benefits. This was Long Chen's first time experiencing such a thing. These women really were not bad, and considering how youthful Long Chen was, there was an immediate reaction. But then thinking of Tang Wan'er, Meng Qi, and Chu Yao, that fire immediately died down. These women could not be compared to them. If he handed his valuables to an outsider here, even Long Chen would have to look down on himself. Ignoring their resentful gazes, Long Chen kicked them out of his room. 3 days later, he and the other alchemists were summoned. This time, Long Chen saw Feng Chang's group had grown a great deal. There were over 30 people now. Let's go. This is the opening round of the competition. Everyone has to participate, said Feng Chang. Previously, Long Chen had merely registered. But this was the opening round. All the alchemists who had passed the registration had to come for an appraisal. This was just an ordinary display of their skills. No one would be knocked out in this round. But it was in the rules that everyone had to attend. It was to allow the competitors to be more mentally prepared for the later rounds, to let them get accustomed to the environment. In other words, even if you failed your refinement this time, it would be fine. You would merely be laughed at by the others. Following Feng Chang into the treasure tower region, Long Chen saw the soaring tower in the distance. Even with Long Chen's calm, he couldn't help but feel shocked. This 7-treasure jewel tower had a circumference of 3 miles. It soared so high into the sky that it was impossible to see the peak. Seeing this enormous construction from a distance was already stunning. Now that he got closer, Long Chen was extremely shaken. In the plaza in front of the tower, there was an arena with 1,000 small stages. Each stage was merely a few dozen meters long. They all had a number on them. These were the stages for the opening round. The region outside the plaza was already filled with people. Those people were all alchemists who had come to watch the fun. Of course, some had come with a learning attitude. Anyone who could compete here was an elite alchemist. Just watching them refine pills was a learning opportunity. This was also one of the meanings behind the opening round. Oh, isn't that Junior Master Feng? You only managed to get this many people? I almost feel sorry for you. Suddenly, a familiar voice rang out in Long Chen's ears. Long Chen followed that voice to see its owner and laughed inside. It was Huo Wufang. Huo Wufang looked similar to before. However, it seemed his body had grown larger. He appeared much more muscular. It should be that his new skeleton was bigger than his old one. His face had also changed a bit. Originally, his face was not bad. But now his face had become square-like. It had the appearance of a butcher. There were actually over 100 people behind Huo Wufang. Long Chen saw a few familiar faces from when he had registered. Duan Tianxiao was there. It seemed she had been pulled in by the Huo family. Feng Chang only had 30+ people, but they had over 100. The difference was a bit big. Ho Wufang didn't notice Long Chen, as Long Chen's current appearance was extremely unremarkable. There was an extremely dislikable smile on Ho Wufang's face. He was still in the habit of looking down his nose on people. Long Chen sighed inside, the same voice, the same conduct. Ho Wufang, Ho Wufang. Are you looking to have the same ending as last time? Junior Master Hua, looks like you haven't read enough books. Haven't you heard that numbers don't matter when it comes to skill? There are so many ants in this world, but do you see an ant that can rule this world? Said Fong Chang indifferently. As long as there are enough ants, they can still bite an elephant to death. Have you never heard of that? It seems Junior Master Fong hasn't read enough books. Ho Wufang didn't have to say anything. A man behind him stepped up for him. Pow pow. That person had only just finished speaking when Fong Chang slapped him across the face, directly breaking his nose. Do you have the qualifications to speak here? Fong Chang clasped his hands behind his back. Those slaps had been too refreshing. They even contained the flavor of Long Chen's slaps. I remember you from the registration. Weren't you the one with the name of the apparatus a kind of animal uses to carry on its ancestral line? Ah, that's right, you're Go Heba. Long Chen suddenly pointed at that person. You're the illustrious Go Heba? You know, with that appearance, you really do look a bit similar to your name. Slender, long, and a bright head. This name really is accurate. Someone beside Long Chen took this chance to add his own thoughts. Ho Wufang's expression suddenly changed upon seeing Long Chen. Long Chen's heart shook. Had he been exposed just like this? Perhaps he was doomed. No, you aren't him. You just look a bit similar. Ho Wufang shook his head. Haha, it seems a certain someone has been scared out of his mind by Long Chen. Long San, how about I help you change your appearance in the future? Laughed Fong Chang. Ho Wufang really had been scared for a moment. Looking at Long Chen's gaze had given him a heart-pounding feeling. They really were similar. But after a careful examination, this person wasn't the same as Long Chen. It was just his figure that was similar. His skin and facial features were all different. Furthermore, this person's eyes contained a red tint that was completely different from Long Chen. Now that Fong Chang was laughing at him, Ho Wufang was about to retort, when Chai Liehua suddenly appeared and stood beside Fong Chang. Long Chen's gaze shifted back and forth, and then lighted upon Go Heba, who had only just crawled up from the ground. An extremely concealed spiritual strength reached out. Go Heba's head was still in a muddled state. For some unknown reason, he suddenly opened his mouth and shouted, "Screw Chai Liehua, damn Fong Chang. Pilyang Prefecture's sole master is Ho Wufang." Chapter 659. Fuck your grandma. You fucker. Chai Liehua and Fong Chang were immediately enraged and charged at Go Heba. Right now, the thing they hated the most was this slogan. Go Heba had yet to understand what was happening when a resounding slap on the face struck him. Chai Liehua was even more vicious, and his kick landed at the same place his name referred to, causing an even more miserable shriek. Hey, stop. Ho Wufang was first dumbfounded. He had never expected Go Heba to say such a phrase. He quickly tried to intervene. After all, this was not the place to fight. This was right in front of the 7-treasure jewel tower, a sacred land of the Pill Tower. If there was a fight, it would bring on the ire of the higher-ups. More importantly, there were also so many spectators watching. Seeing Ho Wufang move to stop them, the people in his group also followed, trying to separate them. But Long Chen's eyes brightened. This was an excellent chance. He furiously roared, "Brothers, they're trying to attack our junior masters. We can't allow them to bully us like this." He was the first to charge up. Without another word, seeing Ho Wufang's but facing him, he directly kicked him in his tailbone. Bang! Ho Wufang had no defenses up. A burst of pain came from his butt, and his face turned from white to green, and then green to purple. In the end, he let out a miserable scream as he shot through the sky. Damn it, how is his butt so hard? Long Chen had kicked Huo Wufang away, but his foot hurt a great deal. He hadn't managed to break his tailbone, and instead ended up in pain because of the backlash. That bastard's new skeleton was definitely strange. But now wasn't the time to quibble over that. Following Long Chen, the others on his side also charged forward. How could they not? At this time, if they were to hesitate even slightly, they would appear disloyal. This was a critical moment for them. They would rather be injured than suffer the consequences of just standing there. In fact, many people sighed with regret that Long Chen had been the first to attack. That chance to show their loyalty had actually been snatched away by him. But they couldn't fall behind, and they also smashed their fists into those people. Fuck, they sneak attacked our junior master Hua. We'll go all out against them. Huo Wufang had been kicked into the sky by Long Chen, but because the current situation was too chaotic, no one managed to see who had done it. It was definitely their opponents though, so Huo Wufang's people also attacked. Unpleasant screams and curses rang out, as well as the sound of various body parts colliding. They were like a bunch of hooligans fighting in the street. These people were grand alchemists, and when truly fighting, they would use their pill flame. They had zero experience fighting with their physical bodies. Hair pulling, nose breaking, leg pinching, ball crushing. Some people ended up being beaten and used their most primordial weapon, directly biting others. Long Chen was also in the crowd. However, he was extremely unremarkable, using the same clumsy fighting style as the others. The spectators were all dumbfounded. This scene was truly magnificent. Over 100 alchemists were fighting like hooligans. Perhaps they would never get a chance to see such a thing again. Everyone stop. Suddenly, a furious roar rang out so loudly that people's eardrums were shaken. Some of them even began to bleed because their eardrums had ruptured, and they were no longer able to hear a thing. Long Chen's heart shook. An expert had finally appeared. He hastily pulled Chai Liehua and Fang Chang out of the battle. Previously, he had been protecting them, so their clothes were still relatively intact. Other people's clothes had been torn to rags. The worst was that some women's clothes had also been torn, revealing their chests for all to see. With their hair in a complete mess, they looked like fighting hags. Following that furious roar, everyone hastily stopped. But there was still one person whose screaming didn't stop. Go Heba, who had previously been beaten by Chai Liehua and Fang Chang, had been completely beaten up, and both of his arms were broken. But he was still obstinately biting down on one person's crotch. What he didn't know was that the person he was biting was on the same side as him. This victim was incomparably pained as he screamed, but Go Heba seemed to have gone insane and he continued to bite. Suddenly, a wave of flames flew over and wrapped around the two of them. The miserable screaming disappeared. At the same time, the two of them also disappeared. They had been directly killed. Long Chen and the others hastily turned to see an elder with an ashen expression, killing intent radiating off of him. Tower Administrator. Chai Liehua and Fang Chang hastily bowed. This person was not part of the three families. As the Tower Administrator, he had been sent directly by Pill Valley to oversee things. If this person was just an expert from the three families, they wouldn't be afraid. But this Tower Administrator represented Pill Valley, and they didn't dare be unbridled before him. The Tower Administrator was backed by Pill Valley, and he represented an absolute authority. The fact that he had just killed two people in his fury showed he was already on the edge of exploding. Bang! Suddenly, a figure came crashing down from the sky. It was surprisingly Huo Wufang. Long Chen's kick had been too vicious, and it had directly sent Huo Wufang flying into the sky. Only now did he fall back. When Huo Wufang landed, he didn't say a word. He held his butt and rolled on the ground. He was in so much pain that he couldn't even scream. The Tower Administrator kicked Huo Wufang below his waist. Long Chen's eyes narrowed slightly. This Tower Administrator was truly skilled. That kick of his had severed Huo Wufang's pain nerves. The instant he was freed from his pain, Huo Wufang stood up. Although he was filled with fury, he didn't dare release it. He bowed and said, "Greetings, Tower Administrator." The death of the two alchemists shook everyone. They obediently stood there, not daring to say a word. The tower administrator's face was as black as the bottom of a pan. Killing intent soared out of him as his icy gaze swept over everyone. Their hearts trembled. They were afraid that he might go crazy and directly kill them. "You disgraceful fools! Do you think this is a place for you to fight?" The tower administrator roared furiously. He was a grand sea expansion expert, but his whole body was trembling. Even his voice was hoarse. It could be seen what level of fury he had reached. "Do any of you even care about face? You're alchemists. How can you scuffle like hooligans? Grow up. Even if you had to fight, why did you do it in front of the 7 treasure jewel tower and right before the opening round? Were you trying to show off your fighting skills to the tens of thousands of people who came just to watch? Should I sell tickets for this show?" The mass of alchemists outside nodded. He was right, such an incredible scene should have cost money to watch. No matter how expensive the ticket would be, they would pay. "The opening round is cancelled for today. We'll change it to tomorrow. Other than that, everyone hand over your photographic jades," shouted the tower administrator. A mass of experts immediately surrounded the spectators. One by one, they investigated them. If they allowed those photographic jades to circulate, the pill tower would become the cultivation world's laughingstock. "You people, get in here," ordered the tower administrator, bringing them into the 7 treasure jewel tower. Then the doors shut. When the outsiders were no longer present, he continued to furiously roar, "Speak, what happened here?" Reporting to tower administrator, it was Huo Wufang who brought his people to provoke us. Furthermore, he even had one of his subordinates curse us, making us lose face. It was only because of that humiliation that I attacked. Disciple is young and impetuous, causing him to go too far. "Please give me your punishment," said Fong Chang respectfully. His words had been very well said. First, he said it was Huo Wufang who had provoked him. He was the victim, but he still admitted his mistake. "What nonsense! You were the one who attacked first," raged Huo Wufang. "Screw Chai Liehua, damn Fong Chang. Pilyang Prefecture's sole master is Huo Wufang. Huo Wufang, you are actually so malicious as to make such a senseless phrase to humiliate us." Tower administrator, I can't accept such humiliation. Tell me, if a person stood right in front of us and cursed us right in the nose, would we even be men if we just endured? Said Chai Liehua. The tower administrator's furious expression twitched upon hearing this phrase. That was from wanting to laugh but suppressing it. He had no choice. If he laughed, there would be no way for him to handle this matter. At the same time, he cursed inside. Just who had come up with such a thing? "Don't slander others. I never told him such a thing," said Huo Wufang. But he said it and everyone heard it clearly. "He's someone from your camp, so if you didn't teach it to him, why would he say it?" sneered Long Chen. "You." "That's enough," shouted the tower administrator. "I don't care which one of you is right or wrong, nor do I care what reasons you have. To fight in front of the 7 treasure jewel tower is an insult to the pill tower. Right now, the opening round is coming up, so I won't punish you. But I've remembered every single one of you. Once the competition is over, I'll slowly settle this debt with all of you. Now scram. Remember, you better be more obedient tomorrow, or else, not even your families will be able to protect you, understand?" Understood. How could they not understand? 2 alchemists had already been turned to ashes by him. Once they returned, Fong Chang and Chai Liehua directly arranged a feast to celebrate their victory today. That was too refreshing. Brothers, you really are heroic. I can see just how dependable and cohesive you all are. Fong Chang raised his cup to them. It's Brother Long that was mighty. With one kick he sent Huo Wufang flying into the sky. Seeing his twisted expression, that was too fucking refreshing. Laughed Chai Liehua. Cheers to victory. Cheers. It went without saying that this victory today had raised everyone's morale. It had also united everyone even more. They drank all the way into the night before resting. The next day, Long Chen and the others were full of energy. Humming a nameless tune, they walked toward the arena for the opening round. Chapter 660. It was the same location as last time. But now there were even more spectators. They were squeezed so tightly together that not even a drop of water could get through them. What do you think, will they fight again today? I hope so. I heard they were incredibly wonderful yesterday. Just hearing the story from you was satisfying. I got up in the middle of the night just to get a good spot today. Who doesn't hope for that? I heard that some of the female alchemists' chests even got exposed. Today, I want to open my eyes to the world. I've seen countless women, but this would be my first time seeing the body of a female alchemist. I pray for the heavens' blessing. Let the battle be even more intense than yesterday. When Long Chen heard these people's words, he almost passed out. As expected, there really were all kinds of people. That battle yesterday had already become famous. Luckily, the tower administrator had been smart and gathered all the photographic jades. Otherwise, the Pill Tower's name would truly resound throughout the 4 seas. However, some women in the group now began to act unnaturally. Wow, they've really come out. Look, that blue-robe girl. Yesterday, she was completely exposed. Her chest was so big that even 2 hands wouldn't be enough to hold them. A man suddenly cried out excitedly, using his hands to express what he was saying. That woman's expression immediately became ugly. Oh, Ho Wufang also came out. What happened to that girl with the violet gold phoenix pin? I see her. What about her? Yesterday, her clothes were completely blown apart. But only later did I realize she was a woman. What do you mean? Her chest is so small that I didn't even notice. Following that person's words, many gazes landed on that woman. As he said, it really was a flat plane. As more and more people arrived, the hostility in the air grew denser. Ho Wufang, how is your butt today? Fang Chong took the initiative. Don't get so pleased with yourself. We still have a long future in front of us to see who the final winner is, snorted Ho Wufang. Fuck your mom. And you said that you didn't come up with that. Fang Chong immediately became enraged. Does saying something like that have any meaning now? Don't bicker like your mother. If you have the ability, prove yourself on the stage. At that time, we'll see just whose subordinates make it to the finals, and just whose family will have the championship. After the last battle, everyone had dropped their pretenses. Ho Wufang was too lazy to quibble anymore. The fact that he no longer argued caused Fang Chong and Chai Liehua to be even more sure that he had been the one to come up with that slogan and that he was just intentionally trying to anger them. Suddenly, the large gate in front of them opened and a group of people slowly entered the arena. These were all registrants who hadn't managed to get in the good graces of the 3 families. There were actually over 700 of them. They were very sullen. Yesterday, after passing the various tests, they had finally arrived in front of this door. But the door had refused to open. It was only later that someone came to tell them that the opening round had been changed to the next day. Now they finally came out, but no one had a favorable opinion of them. The elites had already been pulled out of them. Furthermore, most of these people weren't participating in the Pill Emperor competition to get the final prizes. This competition only occurred once a century. Furthermore, you had to be under 100 years old and have spiritual strength that had reached the Earth class. The requirements were extremely stringent. This was practically a sacred competition to alchemists, and just managing to participate in it was a great honor. As long as they appeared on the competition stage, that would raise their reputation and status. Many people had come just for that. As for the finals, they were well aware of their own skills. The majority of them had just come to join in on the fun, as well as to gain some experience. Silence! The tower administrator appeared and a cold shout from him cut off the clamor. We'll begin by distributing number plates. Once you obtain your number, go find your spot. Many disciples in Pill Tower robes now walked out, all of them carrying square tiles with numbers on them. These number plates were all random. They matched the numbers on the 1,000 stages before them. Long Chen was given his number. After that, he found his stage and sat. This 30-meter square refining stage was extremely expansive. In accordance with the rules of the opening round, you can choose your own medicinal pills. There are no requirements, and failure doesn't matter. Just familiarize yourself with this environment to prepare yourselves for the preliminaries. You have 6 hours. The tower administrator's voice rang throughout the entire arena. Let the opening round begin. All the competing alchemists hastily took out their pill furnaces and medicinal ingredients, organizing them on the refining stage. The first thing they had to do was get used to the exact size of the refining stage. The arrangement of medicinal ingredients was extremely important. They had to have a plan for how many medicinal ingredients they could put in order. That was to avoid making an error during the sequence of refining. The higher the tier of the medicinal pill, the more stringent would the refining process be. Some medicinal ingredients needed to be put aside and left to cool for a long time after being refined into powders. There were also some powders that were extremely volatile and began to dissipate into the air after being refined, so those medicinal ingredients were refined last, which would keep the quality of the refined pill higher. High-tier pills had extremely complicated pill formulas. Any detail could affect the odds of a successful refinement. So although there would be no one eliminated this time, everyone still treated it extremely seriously. These people were all pill emperors. They all chose to refine 5th-tier pills. Because the difficulty of that was rather high, they couldn't mess around. Although this wasn't a true competition, a failure would still be humiliating. HM? What is that little fellow doing? What kind of broken pill furnace is that? Suddenly, an uproar came from the crowd as people's gazes landed on Long Chen's stage. Other people's refining stages were filled with medicinal ingredients. There were at least over 70 kinds of medicinal ingredients on each of the stages, and some people even had over 100. But Long Chen's stage only had 7 medicinal ingredients, and they were extremely low-tier ones. Damn, no way. Isn't that a 2nd-tier pill furnace? And it has a nick in it? Is he really that poor? Seeing Long Chen's pill furnace, everyone's eyes almost popped out. What was he doing? A 2nd-tier pill furnace could only refine 2nd-tier medicinal pills. Then looking at the medicinal ingredients he had laid around him, was he really planning on only refining a 2nd-tier pill? Long San, what are you doing? Why don't you refine a 5th-tier pill? And what is that chamber pot for? Asked Chai Liehua. He was on a stage beside Long Chen. I only have these medicinal ingredients. And this pill furnace is my only one, said Long Chen helplessly. He had to act like a poor alchemist raised by a pill master. He naturally couldn't use his main pill furnace, as that had been Huo Wufang's. Chai Liehua almost coughed up blood. If he didn't have a pill furnace, why hadn't he said so earlier? He could have easily gotten him one. Bringing out a trash chamber pot like this was too embarrassing. Don't make a racket. The tower administrator suddenly shouted, and Chai Liehua could only shut his mouth. Suddenly, countless flames began to soar from people's hands. They had already taken out their pill flames. All kinds of colorful and magnificent beast flames appeared. Ranked 31 on the beast flame rankings, the blue heart flame. Ranked 29 on the beast flame rankings, the scarlet blaze flame. Startled cries rang out from the crowd. These beast flames were all ranked in the top 100 of the beast flame rankings. These people were truly being shown a whole new world. Junior Master Fong and Junior Master Chai's beast flames are the same. It's the blazing python scale flame, 4th on the beast flame rankings. Heavens, isn't Junior Master Hua's flame the 1st rank beast flame, the earth flame golden blaze? There was a golden flame in Huo Wufang's hand that caused the crowd to shout in shock. Even Chai Liehua and Fang Chong were filled with shock. They hadn't expected Huo Wufang to have obtained the 1st rank beast flame. The Hua family had once more spent a huge sum on him. That Earth Dragon Golden Blaze had come from a Xiantian magical beast known as the Earth Dragon. This kind of magical beast came from ancient times, and it had almost gone extinct. It was said that the earth dragon possessed a trace of a true dragon's bloodline. Although its body was more like a lizard and seemed to have nothing to do with a dragon, just that trace of a dragon's bloodline was enough to make it an overlord amongst magical beasts. It was said that a matured earth dragon was something even a sea expansion expert would have to flee from. Hee, looks like I win this one. Huo Wufang smiled arrogantly. He glanced at Chai Liehua and Fang Chong, his provocation obvious. The two of them merely snorted, but their expressions became a bit ugly. Huo Wufang had taken the advantage in terms of pill flames. Haha. Suddenly, mocking laughter rang out as everyone looked at Long Chen. There was a light yellow flame in Long Chen's hand. That was no beast flame but just an ordinary pill flame. It was something he had condensed from his spiritual yuan. Long Chen wasn't a true flame cultivator, and he had no core flame runes. He could only condense this simple pill flame. Has there been some mistake? How did such trash make it into this competition? Did someone sneak him in through the back door? Sneered someone. Idiot, if you don't know, then don't speak. He's only 18, but his spiritual strength has reached the first-tier heaven class. It's just that, he comes from a poor origin. What right do you have to laugh at him? Someone recognized Long Chen and defended him. Chai Liehua and Fang Chong were extremely vexed upon seeing Long Chen take out this trash pill furnace and trash pill flame. Why hadn't he said any of this earlier? Suddenly, Long Chen smiled slightly. Extending a hand, all of his medicinal ingredients flew into his pill furnace at the same time, and his pill flame entered the bottom of the furnace. His soul energy circulated, and his pill flame explosively grew. Chapter 661. What? Has there been some kind of mistake? Is he refining pills or making stew? Does he even know how to refine pills? He doesn't even understand he has to purify the ingredients first. Isn't he just messing around? Hey, little fellow, you should add some more water and salt, or the flavor won't be so good. The spectators immediately began to make a ruckus. They were extremely dissatisfied that someone like Long Chen could make his way into this competition. The tower administrator ignored their shouts. The only thing against the rules was for people inside the arena to disturb their competitors. The shouts from the spectators were also a kind of test for alchemists. It had to be known that alchemists would always refine pills in a private room. They wouldn't allow anyone to disturb them. But now that countless people were watching and shouting, it made refining pills that much more difficult. If you were unable to calm your heart, the odds of a failure would be extremely high. This competition sought this kind of tempering experience. Other than having talent, an alchemist also had to have a calm heart. Only such a person could walk further on the pill path. If your heart became chaotic just because of someone's random shouting, there was no way you could have any major accomplishments. In the face of the insults and ridicules coming from all around, Long Chen's expression was still calm. His spiritual strength circulated and his flame rapidly rose. Is this real life? Following Long Chen's actions, the sound of the crowd's shouting quieted. In the end, everyone's expressions were lifeless. Even the tower administrator's pupils shrank slightly. The 7 medicinal ingredients in Long Chen's pill furnace had already begun to slowly be refined. But they were still separated from each other and hadn't fused. He's used his spiritual strength to keep the medicinal ingredients apart. But the exhaustion to his soul energy must be terrifying. Everyone was incomparably shocked. Long Chen's spiritual strength was wrapped around 7 different medicinal ingredients, refining them at the same time. That was insane. They had never seen someone waste their precious spiritual strength like this. Suddenly, the 7 medicinal ingredients were refined into powder at the same time, and they began to merge. What? Finally, people understood what he was doing. Normally, people would refine pills step by step, turning each ingredient to powder one by one, and then refine them into pills. Long Chen was too lazy to do that, and he directly threw them in like he was cooking vegetables. After refining their essence, he directly began to merge them. To save time, he had actually wasted his precious spiritual strength to keep the medicinal powders separated from each other. That was definitely only showing off. When others refined pills, each bit of spiritual strength was precious and used as sparingly as possible. If their spiritual strength ended up running out toward the end, then the entire furnace of pills they were working on would be trashed. So spiritual strength was extremely precious to alchemists. Suddenly, Long Chen closed the lid on his furnace. Following that, no one could see what was happening inside. He's just showing off. That's just a second-tier pill, and we could refine it with our eyes closed. For him to try and use such a thing to show off, he really is ignorant. What? The refinement is finished already. A person was in the midst of mocking him when Long Chen's pill furnace suddenly shook. Medicinal fragrance spread everywhere. It was a clear sign the pill was about to form. That's way too fast. Everyone's jaw dropped. Was this refining pills, or cooking meat? He had only just closed the lid and it was finished. Crack. Long Chen's pill furnace suddenly became covered in cracks. This idiot, he pushed his flame too much. There's about to be a furnace explosion. Boom! As expected, the pill furnace exploded, drawing out jeers and laughter. But that laughter was cut off midway as if a knife had severed it. Impossible! All they saw was that although the pill furnace had exploded, a translucent pill furnace had appeared and wrapped around the liquid that was on the verge of turning into a pill. This is the legendary spiritual furnace. Just how monstrous is his spiritual strength? Everyone was dumbfounded. Using pure spiritual strength to form a cauldron only existed in legends. The crowd had never seen such a thing. Even the tower administrator stood up, filled with shock. This was his first time seeing such vast spiritual strength. The registration test only tested the quality of a person's spiritual strength. It didn't test the amount they had. That was because the majority of people had around the same amount of spiritual strength. Even if there was a difference, it would be extremely minor. So the more important aspect was the quality. But the amount of spiritual strength Long Chen had displayed was enormous, so enormous that it was terrifying. He was actually able to condense a spiritual pill furnace. Just the exhaustion to do so would be enough to refine a fifth-tier pill. The crowd was silent, but Fong Chong was filled with wild delight. Long Chen's vast soul energy was practically monstrous. Who cared if he didn't have a pill furnace? His Fong family had that. Who cared if he didn't have a beast flame? The pill tower had many. But Long Chen's abnormal, practically endless soul energy was too terrifying. Ho Wufang's expression turned ugly. He felt a trace of unease. For some unknown reason, he had always felt like this Long San was an extremely dangerous fellow. Such abnormal soul energy was something even he had never seen before. If Long Chen gained the assistance of the Fong family, he would definitely soar and pose a large threat to him. A cold light appeared in Ho Wufang's eyes. Long Chen's pill flame didn't pause. Within the translucent spiritual pill furnace, the medicinal pill was rapidly taking shape. In less than a breath's time, it had become solid. The rings have appeared. 3. 5 rings. Heavens, they're still increasing. 7. 8. What? The 9th ring also appeared. Suddenly, the spiritual pill furnace faded, and a gorgeous medicinal pill appeared in Long Chen's hand. Brilliant light shone from it, making it appear like a lantern in the night. 9-ring pill. Everyone was shocked. If they hadn't personally seen it, they wouldn't have believed that such low-tier medicinal ingredients could be refined into a 9-ring pill. That was the peak of high-grade pills. However, it's essentially useless. If I'm not wrong, isn't that just a bug-expelling pill commonly used by adventurers? When they set up camp, they use it to avoid being bitten by poisonous bugs. It is useless, but it definitely was badass. I have to admit that all of our faces have been slapped rotten, said one person bitterly. Each time they had ridiculed Long Chen, he had used his actions to give them a slap in the face. In refining this one pill, he had essentially slapped the people insulting him multiple times. The worse a person had insulted him, the more vicious that slap in the face would be. The fact that Long Chen had refined a 9-ring pill from those trash ingredients caused countless people to be furious. He had definitely done that on purpose, just to slap them in the face. This Long Sen really is a badass. Not only are his physical slaps amazing, but even his mental slaps have reached a divine level. Admirable. Fong Chang practically had to prostrate himself in admiration towards Long Chen. Long Chen's refinement had drawn everyone's attention. Those people who had been planning on dazzling others with their skills ended up giving up. They decided to just use the simplest way to finish their pills. As a result, this opening round had been completely upset by Long Chen. It ended just like that, without anything else that compared to Long Chen's display. A derogatory act to please the crowd is all it was. Just as Long Chen was leaving with Fong Chang, one of Huo Wufang's people couldn't help sneering at him. Pow! A large hand slapped across his face. Long Chen had tried to slap him, but he had been a step too late and ended up striking nothing but air. Ha, I got him first, laughed Fong Chang. Fong Chang's face slaps had almost become a reflex for him. As long as a person came to provoke him, it would naturally follow. He struck so fast that it even surpassed his reaction. Fong Chang. Huo Wufang's expression sank. Fong Chang was becoming more and more shameless. Without any regard to his status, he would attack anyone as soon as he had an urge. If Huo Wufang simply allowed his subordinate to be struck like this, he would appear too cowardly. What, you want to fight again? Then let's fight. This isn't the competition region. If we fight here, no one will care, said Fong Chang, pointing at Huo Wufang's nose. Following his actions, it was like gunpowder had filled the air. Long Chen laughed inside. He rubbed his fists, ready to attack at any moment. Heavens, the good show is still developing. Everyone, hurry and find a good spot to watch from. Those spectators had thought that the show they wanted to see wouldn't appear today. They had been a bit depressed, but now sensing this sudden hostility, they immediately celebrated. I've already activated my photographic jade. I'll definitely get a good look at a female pill empress's chest, or I won't be able to die in peace, cried one person, licking his lips. Huo Wufang was completely infuriated. Fong Chang and Chai Liehua were acting like complete hooligans, not caring the slightest bit about their status. If they really did fight here, both parties would suffer. After all, this wasn't a true fight. They couldn't summon their pill flames, or it would be too dangerous. If someone lost their life, then this would immediately become a major matter. Furthermore, many people were watching. Fighting like this would only serve as a method to lose face. However, Fong Chang and Chai Liehua were so shameless as to act as if they were unrivaled and wanted to fight. All you have is a pack of marketplace brawlers. We're leaving. In the end, Huo Wufang decided to bring his people away, which disappointed Long Chen. He had lost a chance to kick Huo Wufang in the butt again. Furthermore, he was extremely curious about what kind of bones Huo Wufang had for it to cause him such pain when he kicked him. What was he hiding? We're also going. Let's continue our celebration. Fong Chang and Chai Liehua laughed. Looking at Huo Wufang's sullen expression as he left, they felt incredibly refreshed. Everyone ate and drank their fill in a restaurant. Having viciously slapped Huo Wufang in the face twice now, Fong Chang and Chai Liehua were filled with delight. They had finally managed to curb his arrogance. Long San, let's go. I'll help you pick out a pill furnace and get you a beast flame. Your big bro has high hopes for you. After drinking and eating, Fong Chang brought Long Chen back toward the 7 treasure jewel tower. Chapter 662, 662. Long Chen followed Fong Chang into the 7 treasure jewel tower. But this time, they didn't go through the main gate, but through a side door. There were a dozen guards in front of that side door. Fong Chang solemnly warned Long Chen that he couldn't cause any trouble here. Although the pill tower was jointly controlled by the Hua, Fong, and Chai families, The Pill Emperor competition had caused some of the Pill Valley's experts to come and watch. They had to pay more attention to the rules than ever. Only now did Long Chen have a chance to ask what this Pill Emperor competition truly was. This competition had gathered the elite Pill Emperors of the Eastern Wasteland. It was to pick out the most talented people. The top 10 would have the qualifications to enter Pill Valley to cultivate. Furthermore, it was said that the reward for the first place was exceedingly high. It was something that would make countless geniuses go mad. But the reward was different each time. In any case, everyone would go all out to get the first place. A reward that would make anyone go crazy? Hee, I like that. The heavens have finally opened their eyes. Seeing how far I had to come to get here, they didn't feel right letting me leave empty-handed. When they reached the door, Feng Chang gave them his badge to examine. Although they all recognized him, they couldn't be the slightest bit sloppy with this procedure. After passing through, they entered the main hall. When they stepped onto a round disc, the disc slowly rose through the air. There was a formation carved into it that allowed it to be used for traveling up and down the tower. The 7 Treasure Jewel Tower's first floor is a large hall used to receive visitors, as well as handling various matters. The second and third floors are where high-level alchemists can refine pills. There are tens of thousands of alchemists refining pills there each day. Only those who have at least reached the Pill Emperor rank have the qualifications to enter here, explained Feng Chang. Tens of thousands? The pill tower really was enormous. It was no wonder it was said that almost all medicinal pills were monopolized by them. That kind of strength was truly immense. The 4th and 5th floors are soul-nourishing regions. There are special formations that can nourish a person's mind and soul. If you're tired after refining, you'll only need to rest for 2 hours there before being completely refreshed. The reason the pill tower can refine so many pills in a day is definitely in part due to the soul-nourishing regions. Furthermore, the soul-nourishing regions can allow a person's soul to advance. Many alchemy geniuses join Pill Tower to cultivate in the soul-nourishing regions. If you cultivated there for a long time, it would be extremely beneficial to your soul. But to do that, you need to contribute a great deal to the Pill Tower. The 6th floor is the region the Chai family is in charge of. That is the Pill Tower's treasure pavilion. There are pill furnaces, precious medicines, beast flames, and all kinds of alchemy inheritances there. There are even flame attribute secret arts. Feng Chang smiled with pride. This was something all the Pill Tower's disciples were proud of. Long San, I'll go help you pick a beast flame now. Your soul energy is terrifying, but your pill flame is trash. There's still a month until the preliminaries. During this time, you have to increase your strength as much as possible. People will be washed out during the preliminaries, warned Feng Chang as he brought Long Chen into the 6th floor. You've arrived. Chai Liehua had already come ahead of them. The Chai family was in charge of this place, so he had come in advance to make things more convenient for Long Chen. I'll bring you to our beast flame repository. They followed Chai Liehua down a long passageway. At the end, there was an iron gate. This gate had to be over 3 meters thick, and it required a special mechanism to open. Passing through 3 such gates, a terrifying heat suddenly attacked them. A large room appeared in front of them. The room had been made of steel. There were niches in the walls, with each having a bottle in it. Each bottle contained a beast flame. Wow, there are so many beast flames. Long Chen jumped in shock. There were hundreds of bottles here, each sealing a kind of beast flame. This is our Pill Tower's beast flame repository. All of these are ranked in the top 100 of the beast flame rankings. Other than the top 3 beast flames, we should have every single one. We even have multiples, said Chai Liehua. Long Chen's arm suddenly heated up. He hastily grabbed that arm. Hua Long had almost flown out. It was like a magical beast that had been starving for countless years and now finally saw meat. It wanted to swallow all of it in one gulp. Hua Long, endure it for now. Now isn't the time. I promise you, if you're patient, these will quickly be yours, Long Chen comforted it. He knew that Hua Long needed energy to grow. but the amount of energy Long Chen was able to offer it was limited. The most important thing was that he needed to cultivate. How did he have that much time to feed it? That had made Huo Long starve this entire time, so seeing this many beast flames, it immediately became agitated. It was a good thing Huo Long listened to him and endured it. That made Long Chen sigh with relief. Long San, you can pick any beast flame here. But let me warn you that while the more powerful the beast flame, the more efficient your alchemy will be, a stronger beast flame requires a longer time to suppress. If you choose the blazing python scale flame, you have to be prepared. If you aren't able to suppress it within a month, you might end up being washed out during the preliminaries, warned Chai Liehua. Chai Liehua and Feng Chang both used the blazing python scale flame. It was ranked 4th on the beast flame rankings, and it was extremely powerful. Although it was one rank lower than Long Chen's violet phoenix sparrow flame, it was still extremely powerful. Long Chen didn't dare reveal the violet phoenix sparrow flame, as that would expose his identity. Using the blazing python scale flame would be much more convenient. As for suppressing it, that was just a joke. With an earth flame present, how could it not be suppressed? I'll choose the blazing python scale flame. Don't worry, with my powerful soul energy, I should be able to suppress it quickly, said Long Chen confidently. As he said this, Long Chen went to grab the blazing python scale flames bottle. There was only one bottle of it left. Wait a moment. Suddenly, a cold shout rang out. A group of people rushed into the repository. Long Chen saw that it was actually Huo Wufang leading 3 others. But Long Chen acted as if he hadn't heard him, and he directly picked up the bottle. What kind of joke was that? The things that he settled on were his. Put down the blazing python scale flame. I already reserved it yesterday, raged Huo Wufang. You reserved it? How come I didn't know about that? Said Chai Liehua. Huo Wufang suddenly took out a piece of paper. Yesterday, I applied to have it, and today I came to get it. What? Do you dare abuse your public position? Fang Chang's expression changed slightly. Now it was troublesome. If Huo Wufang had reserved it, then this blazing python scale flame would have to be given to him. That was one of the rules of the Pill Tower. Once a disciple managed to reach certain standards, they could make applications to the Pill Tower to ask for certain beast flames. It was most definitely Duan Tianxiao. Huo Wufang was trying to get it for her. With her 9th tier Earth class soul energy, she truly could apply for the blazing python scale flame. The date really does say yesterday. However, I'm very sorry, but I can't give the blazing python scale flame to you, said Chai Liehua. You dare? If you don't give it to me, I'll immediately report you. Do you dare break the Pill Tower's rules? Sneered Huo Wufang. Go ahead and report me. But let me tell you, it won't have any use. 3 days ago, there was already an application for this blazing python scale flame. So unfortunately, you're still too late. Isn't that right, Feng Chang? Chai Liehua winked to Feng Chang. His meaning could not be more obvious. Feng Chang suddenly recalled the truth and said, That's right. I reserved it 3 days ago. So sorry, hee. I don't believe you. Bring out your application, raged Huo Wufang. The application is with my family. I forgot to bring it. I can show you the application later. Chai Liehua smiled. Huo Wufang was enraged. Chai Liehua was definitely doing this intentionally. But it was their Chai family that had this authority. All Chai Liehua had to do was make up an application and put the date as 3 days ago. Thinking of that, Huo Wufang's face turned green with rage. But he was also powerless. Fine, just wait. Tan Xiao, Chifeng, you guys pick out a beast flame. Huo Wufang could only let his people pick out a weaker beast flame. When Huo Wufang left with an ugly expression, Long Chen's group of 3 looked at each other and laughed. That was especially true of Feng Chang and Chai Liehua. It had been a long time since they had been this happy. Long San will protect you. You can refine the blazing python scale flame here. Long Chen nodded and directly took out the beast flame. He began to refine it. Feng Chang and Chai Liehua were shocked. The wild and berserk blazing python scale flame seemed like an obedient rabbit. It simply allowed itself to be absorbed by Long Chen without the slightest resistance. They weren't aware that Long Chen had an earth flame. In front of an earth flame, beast flames were like ants in front of a dragon. They wouldn't dare to resist. Long Chen had originally been planning on refining the blazing python scale flame and then feeding the violet phoenix sparrow flame to Huolong. But suddenly he had a thought. He wondered if it was possible for him to keep both beast flames. As a result, Long Chen was shocked to see that with Huolong's suppression, the two beast flames didn't dare struggle. They didn't dare to fight with or devour the other. Ah, Huolong, congratulations. In the future, there will be 2 chickens laying eggs for you, laughed Long Chen inside. Although instantly devouring a beast flame would be extremely beneficial to Huolong, in the long view, killing the chicken to get its eggs was not worth it. Long Chen had Huolong lightly suppress the 2 beast flames. The 2 of them were shivering in terror. Then, under Long Chen's guidance, they began to release some of their energy to Huolong. Their lost power was immediately recovered with Long Chen's spiritual yuan. Long Chen was delighted to see this. In the future, he could have Huolong look after them and get a constant stream of food for itself. Long Chen gently breathed out and opened his eyes. A scarlet flame appeared in his hand. The ripples coming from the flame looked like scales. That's too exaggerated, isn't it? Cried Chai Liehua and Fong Chang. Chapter 663. Chai Liehua and Fong Chang couldn't believe their eyes. You refined it in just an incense stick's worth of time? Are you joking? Maybe it's just that my spiritual strength is strong enough. Long Chen laughed and extended his hand. The red flame began to agilely jump on his fingertips. It wasn't the slightest bit sluggish. The 2 of them were flabbergasted. Monster. You're definitely a monster, concluded the 2 of them at the same time. Hee, I have an urge to immediately go give a blow to that idiot Huo Wufang now. Even after obtaining the beast flame, Long Chen didn't forget to express his position. That was to avoid them getting jealous. After all, they were all alchemists. The power he had displayed was a bit more than he should have, and it could provoke the 2 of them. After all, everyone had their own pride. Such an impact would cause anyone to be uncomfortable. Hearing this, Fong Chang nodded. Long Chen was part of his camp. The stronger he was, the more beneficial it would be for him. Big bros, I have a small request, said Long Chen with embarrassment. As brothers, there's no need to be courteous. What do you need? Fong Chang and Chai Liehua patted themselves on the chest confidently. I suddenly realized that it's extremely easy for me to control the blazing python scale flame. I was thinking of how I could upgrade its power. That way I'll be able to refine even better pills, said Long Chen. Upgrade? How can you upgrade it? The 2 of them didn't understand. I want to let the blazing python scale flame devour a few other beast flames to make it stronger. Is that all right? Asked Long Chen. It's all right, but the main question is whether or not that will work. I've never heard of beast flames being able to merge, said Chai Liehua. Can I try it? If you want. In any case, in this place, my Chai family's word is law. These beast flames don't count as overly precious. I can just write down that they were used up and report it. Go ahead, said Chai Liehua. His eyes had truly been opened to the world. He wanted to see just what level of monster this Long San was. I'll first try devouring the 7th and 9th ranking flames. Long Chen didn't stand on courtesy. He directly grabbed the 2 flames and began to refine them at the same time. Chai Liehua and Fong Chang's faces twitched, but they didn't stop him. Finally, when Long Chen had refined the 17th flame and reached out for an 18th, Chai Liehua couldn't help but say, Brother Long San, can you leave a few? If you take too many, your big bro won't be able to give an explanation. 17 beast flames, all of which were ranked near the top, had been consumed by Long Chen in just a few breaths. The 2 of them were completely dumbfounded, their hearts pounding madly. The Chai family was in charge of this. However, if the loss was too big, it would be easily discovered. By then it would be troublesome. That was why he had to stop. Suddenly, a flame appeared in Long Chen's hand. The red flame contained a faint violet tint. Its terrifying heat caused their expressions to change. What kind of flame is this? A mutation? They didn't know that this was a flame Long Chen had created by merging the blazing python scale flame and the violet phoenix sparrow flame. Such a flame was something no one else had ever seen. However, this flame could only be used to intimidate others. Its true power wasn't even as high as the violet phoenix sparrow flame. But its power was definitely much greater than just the blazing python scale flame. Long Chen had done this to show them that he had succeeded. He truly had succeeded. He had swindled 17 beast flames at the same time. Adding on the blazing python scale flame and the violet phoenix sparrow flame, he had a total of 19 beast flames now. The 19 beast flames were like hens locked in a cage. Under Huolong's tyrannical abuse, they did their best to lay eggs for it. They devoured Long Chen's spiritual yuan crazily in order to make up for the loss. In an instant, Huolong had become a farmer. It had 19 beast flames producing crops as fast as they could. It was extremely satisfied, as it now had flames to consume at any moment. As for Long Chen, having advanced to the Xiantian realm, his spiritual yuan was as vast as a sea. They could absorb his spiritual yuan as much as they pleased. This way, Long Chen didn't have to spend his time raising Huolong. Huolong could graze as much as it pleased. Long San, you really are a monster, said Chai Liehua. Big bros, I also need some high-tier pill formulas. I've only ever refined low-tier pills, and I've never come into contact with higher-tier pill formulas. To tell the truth, I don't even know many techniques for refining high-tier pills. Can you lend me some alchemy arts? Asked Long Chen. Lend you some? Please, we don't need to do that. I can bring you to the secret tome pavilion. As long as you don't bring out the tomes inside, you can browse the tomes as you please. There are all kinds of alchemy arts and experiences recorded by seniors, etc. Upon hearing that Long Chen would no longer consume any more beast flames, Chai Liehua was rejuvenated. He directly brought Long Chen to the secret tome pavilion. There were huge bookshelves filled with alchemy arts. Long Chen went wild with delight and began to study them. Seeing Long Chen was like an obsessed pill maniac, Chai Liehua and Fang Chong didn't disturb him. They left, waiting for the time when Long Chen would leave. Once the two of them had left, Long Chen tossed aside the alchemy tomes he had picked up. How could anyone write down such trash principles? There were 3 kinds of tomes here. One kind contained alchemy arts that the seniors had written down. The other kind contained pill formulas. They were all high-tier pill formulas. But they weren't truly peerless formulas, and Long Chen wasn't interested in them. He was most interested in the Flame Attribute Battle Skill section. Long Chen had his pill god memories, but they were incomplete. Other than alchemy, there was nothing else. So Long Chen might be a powerful alchemist, but he had come into contact with very few pill flame battle skills. He might have an incomparably terrifying pill flame, but he could only use it in the most superficial way when fighting. Even Long Chen had to blush in shame. Flame cloud wings, pill flame transforming into wings, allowing you to soar into the sky. Damn, this isn't a battle skill, but a magical art. I have to learn it. Long Chen went crazy with delight. He had found a magical arts secret tome. Ordinary battle skills and cultivation techniques were split into heaven, earth, and mortal classes. But these 3 classes referred only to Xiantian experts and below. Xiantian experts and above could use their energy to control the energy of heaven and earth, transforming it into all kinds of runes that could release mountain-toppling power. Such attacks had broken through the limit of battle skills and were called magical arts. Magical arts were not split into high or low grades. There was no system to measure that. Their power depended mainly on whether the user could control it properly. At the Xiantian realm, people fought by using their energy to control heaven and earth's energy. That allowed them to release an even more terrifying power. Magical arts were what allowed them to control that energy. If you wanted to control more energy, It would depend on your abilities. With this, then even without advancing to see expansion, I could still fly through the sky. Haha, summoning a pair of flame wings when I fight would definitely be amazing. Long Chen's smile threatened to split his face. Coming to the Pill Tower had definitely been worth it. Originally, his goal had been to get the ingredients to condense the Enlightenment Palace star. But currently, he had only just gotten familiar with Feng Chang and Chai Liehua. He couldn't just directly charge into the medicinal ingredient storeroom. He didn't have a suitable reason for that yet. However, everything was still going very smoothly. Not only had he obtained a mass of beast flames, but he could also cultivate in flame attribute magical arts. That almost made flowers bloom in Long Chen's heart. Suddenly, Long Chen rushed back to his original position, acting as if he hadn't moved. He was still completely focused on studying the alchemy arts in the tomes. Feng Chang and Chai Liehua walked back in. Long San, how about you stay here? We still have matters to attend to. But Long Chen was like a statue. It seemed he hadn't even heard him. The two of them looked at each other and just left. This Long San is not just a monster, he's also so hardworking. He'll definitely have amazing accomplishments in the future. Most importantly, he's someone who cares about relationships and gratitude. For just a minor favor, he even dared to make enemies of the Hua family. We really did pick up a treasure, said Feng Chang. They left Long Chen in the secret tome pavilion, ordering others to stand guard outside. If Long Chen came out, they were to bring him to Feng Chang's residence. They still had many others who they needed to make good relationships with, and they also had to report certain things to their families. They were busy and couldn't just accompany Long Chen. You're the one who picked up the treasure. Tisich, I can't even describe how jealous I am, said Chai Liehua. Tisich, what do you need to be jealous of? With our talent, 7th tier Earth-class soul energy, there's no way for us to get into Pill Valley. The only thing we need to do is to use Long San to get rid of the arrogant Hua family. They refuse to just carry out their marketing duties and have stretched their hands toward our territories. If we still don't counterattack, we might be destroyed. But now that Long San has come, if he can take the first place in the Pill Emperor competition, the glory will be our two families. Once he enters Pill Valley, we can work together with him. Then wouldn't eradicating the Hua family be a simple matter? Why are we suppressed by the Hua family? Isn't it just because they have people in Pill Valley? But if Long Chen also joins Pill Valley, we can expose all the shameful acts the Hua family has done. At that time, wouldn't the Pill Tower be our two families? Teach, at that time, who will dare say screw Chai Liehua and damn Feng Chang? If I didn't break their head and stuff the pieces into their ass, I wouldn't be Feng Chang, raged Feng Chang. That's enough. Don't say those words again. Just mentioning it makes me angry. This Long San really is not bad. He's dependable and trustworthy. We'll definitely make back 100 times what we invest in him, said Chai Liehua. Teeth, those Hua family bastards. They swindled so much money these years, but they refused to give us a single copper. Didn't you notice? Whether it was replacing his skeleton to get rid of his poison or that Earth Dragon Golden Blaze, both are so expensive that we would have to sell everything we own to do the same as them. But they were able to do it, and they seem fine. Fuck, and they're even looking down on us for the preliminaries. They sell the medicinal pills we work so hard to refine and then look down on us. Fuck them, raged Feng Chang. Calm down. I'm mad too. But there's no way around that. Let's go back and properly work out a strategy. Let's see if we can use the blade called Long San to stab the Hua family to death. Time passed quickly. Long Chen was studying the flame magical arts as fast as he could when Feng Chang's voice interrupted him. Long San, come out. The preliminaries are about to start. Chapter 664, 664. It's already been a month? Long Chen was surprised. The time had passed too quickly. He had only comprehended a dozen flame magical arts. But that kind of speed would cause chaos if the outside world learned of it. Magical arts were not ordinary battle skills. they required profound comprehension skills to use. Furthermore, they were still very dangerous to use. If you were unable to control it well enough, you would end up injured by your own attack. Although it was said that magical arts were for Xiantian experts and above, it was better to say that they were for Sea expansion experts and above. Most Xiantian experts did not dare to use them. Only once they reached the Sea expansion realm would they have high enough comprehension of heaven and earth, and only then would they dare to use them. Furthermore, even Sea expansion experts had to be careful with magical arts. The slightest mistake would cause a backlash. That was the heartlessness of the heavenly Daos. They could bestow you with great strength, or they could exterminate you. Different from battle skills, the majority of magical arts were released outside the body. Back in the Chaos region, those corrupt Sea expansion experts had released an immense black hand to attack him. That had been a magical art. It had used their energy to control natural energy, and it was exceedingly powerful. Long Chen had been completely submerged within the profundities of these flame magical arts. He was like a drunkard who could not escape from his infatuation. His control over his pill flame could be said to be unrivaled. Therefore, these incomparably profound magical arts weren't difficult for him to learn. But he still needed some time to understand them, and they were so profound that he found himself completely absorbed. Long San, you really are a pill fanatic. There are only 5 more days until the preliminaries, but you're working so hard that you forgot to sleep or eat, said Fong Chang. After leaving Long Chin here, he hadn't heard any further news of him. He had come over a few times, only to see Long Chin staring at a tome in his hands, completely absorbed. In truth, Long Chen was only acting that way for him. Once he left, Long Chen would immediately switch to studying magical arts. Sorry, laughed Long Chen. There's nothing to be sorry about. With your work ethic and talent, if you don't have any accomplishments in the future, it really would be a defiance of natural order. But the preliminaries are soon, so you shouldn't keep studying here. You should refine some pills to get yourself into a refining state. Let's go. I'll get you a good pill furnace. Fong Chang brought Long Chen to a storeroom and had him pick a pill furnace. These pill furnaces were all quality goods. But the 5th-tier pill furnaces were clearly not as good as the one he had. After all, Huo Wufang only used the best of the best. In the end, Long Chen picked a furnace that looked comparatively thicker. He liked ones that looked more sturdy. After that, he returned to his residence. Fong Chang had him refine a furnace of pills in front of him. Long Chen knew that was because he was worried he wouldn't be able to control his new pill flame, which would make him fail in the preliminaries. To refine a 5th-tier pill, Long Chen not only could do it with his eyes closed, but he could even refine it with his feet. It was too easy. But there was one thing that was true: using the blazing python scale flame did cause some flaws. After all, it was his first time using it. Then, adding on Long Chen's intentional mistakes, he only refined a single 3-ring pill. Seeing that 3-ring pill, Fong Chang sighed with relief, and he gave Long Chen a thumbs up. He had to admit that Long Chen was a genius amongst geniuses. He saw that Long Chen wasn't used to the blazing python scale flame. There were some flaws when the flame's temperature changed, but Long Chen could use his powerful soul energy to minimize those flaws. Furthermore, Long Chen said this was his first time using it to refine pills. If he wasn't familiar with him, he would think he was lying. When using a beast flame for the first time, it was all too common to fail several refinements. The fact that Long Chen could succeed his first time, and even refine a 3-ring pill, was already amazing. Long San, I won't disturb you these days. Familiarize yourself with your beast flame by refining pills. As long as you can refine a 3-ring pill in the preliminaries, you'll definitely pass, said Fong Chang before leaving. Once he left, Long Chen used the rest of the medicinal ingredients to refine a few pills. After familiarizing himself with the blazing python scale flame, he didn't waste any more time. He looked at the leftover medicinal ingredients. Just now, he had tactfully told Fong Chang that while he was familiar with the 5th-tier pill formulas, he hadn't refined them. He wanted to enter the storehouse and pick out some medicinal ingredients. Of course, the truth was that he wanted to look for the Enlightenment Palace pills ingredients. But Fong Chang was too nice, and he directly gave him a pile of 5th-tier pill formulas and a spatial ring of their ingredients. Furthermore, he said the preliminaries weren't difficult according to the past years. So the matter of going to the storehouse could only wait until after the preliminaries. Long Chen saw that Fong Chang trusted him completely, which moved him. In truth, there were many holes in his identity as Long San, and there were many questions that could be asked about his alchemy arts. How could a pill master who lived in some random mountains have taught him his alchemy? Long Chen had already thought of many ways to explain all this. But Fong Chang hadn't even asked those questions of him. It was clear that he trusted his own eyes. Whether it was because he trusted that he hadn't misjudged him, or whether he was confident in the pill tower's strength and that no one could trick them, Long Chen still owed him a debt. Fine, because of your trust, I'll help you get rid of the Hua family. Wasn't that my original goal all along? Is this being a bit too shameless? Long Chen felt a bit guilty, but then thinking of how the 3 families were like water and fire, this could count as a collaboration. His guilt about tricking them also vanished. The main thing was to help them exterminate the Hua family. 5 days passed. The location of the preliminaries was the same as the opening round. But there was a large platform that was filled with seated people. These people were the experts from the Hua, Fong, and Chai families. They had come as guests of honor. After all, they were the masters of the Pill Tower. But for fairness, they were not in charge of the Pill Emperor competition. These guests of honor were the core of the 3 families. Even the 3 families' heads had come. The Hua family's head was a square-faced elder with thick, sword-shaped eyebrows. He appeared quite imposing. His name was Hua Changxing. He was also Hua Wufang's great-grandfather. His cultivation base was at the peak of sea expansion, and he was also a pill ancestor. It was said that he could refine 7th-tier medicinal pills, but because he couldn't refine ringed 7th-tier pills, he couldn't be called a venerate. Pill apprentice, pill adept, pill master, pill king, pill emperor, pill ancestor, pill venerate, pill saint, pill god. These alchemist ranks corresponded to 1 to 9th-tier pills. The ranks were extremely clear. These alchemist tiers didn't necessarily have a relation to cultivation base. Cultivation base was just an assistance. A sea expansion alchemist would still forever be a pill master if they were only able to refine 3rd-tier pills. However, such people would have long since given up their alchemist status to become martial artists, or it would be too embarrassing. There was a lean elder beside Hua Changxing. He was also a late sea expansion expert. This was the Fong family's head, Fong Mingyuan. And beside Fong Mingyuan was a bald elder, the Chai family's head, Chai Gaoyang, who was also a sea expansion expert. In the previous Pill Emperor competitions, my Hua family always took up 7 or 8 of the top 10 spots, while the top 3 were always ours. How boring. We can't even find an opponent. In this world, the strong are respected, while the weak have to retreat. That is an irresistible trend that can't be reversed. What do you 2 think about that principle? Asked Hua Changxing. Currently, the Fong, Chai, and Hua family struggles had already become open ones. They were already used to saying such hostile words. The heavenly Daos are hard to fathom. It's impossible to say that any trend is irresistible. In fact, speaking of which, it seems Hua Tianxiong hasn't appeared in the past few days? It couldn't be that he was cut down in his prime? Said Chai Gaoyang, his eyes locked onto Hua Changxing. This Hua Tianxiong was Hua Wufang's father and one of the experts of the Hua family. Whether it was in terms of cultivation base or alchemy, he was one of their top people. Don't concern yourself. Tianxiong is fine, said Hua Changxing. But his words were clearly a bit unnatural. How could that possibly escape the other 2 family heads' eyes? Chai Gaoyang said, I heard more trouble has come for your Hua family? It seems the Shen Dao sect came to see you. I wonder whether they were sending you a gift, or whether they were asking about any bribes you might have done. Hua Changxing's expression sank. Chai Gaoyang, there was no such thing. Don't spread your lies for others to hear. Ha, it was just a joke. Brother Changxing, don't get angry. Chai Gaoyang glanced at Fang Mingyuan. They had both seen through some clues about the Hua family's current problems. They were already old opponents, and there was no way to keep things completely secret. It was still possible to see clues. That was especially true considering that the matter with the Chaos region had completely blown up. Later, the Xiantian Dao sect had come to find them. It would be strange if no one saw the connection. Furthermore, a few days before that, the Hua family had suddenly sealed themselves off for a while. While nothing was certain, it seemed something had happened with Hua Tianxiong that had made Chai Gaoyang probe Hua Changxing, and this probing really did give results. Although there was no way to determine the exact truth, they knew that the Hua family's interior was not as calm as it appeared. That was enough. Just at this moment, a clamor erupted from the crowd. The alchemists participating in the Pill Emperor competition had arrived. Long Chen slowly walked to his stage. Raising his head, he saw Fang Mingyuan and the others. Fang Chang had told Long Chen about Fang Mingyuan. Seeing Long Chen look at him, Fang Mingyuan nodded slightly to him, expressing his encouragement. Just at this moment, the icy and stern tower administrator also walked in. Long Chen bowed slightly toward Fang Mingyuan's nod. After all, this was a senior who was in the same generation as Fang Chang's grandfather. He couldn't be too arrogant toward him. Long Chen then glanced at Hua Changxing. Hua Changxing was also looking at him, and he smiled. But this smile was full of disdain. Seeing that enraged Long Chen, and he suddenly pointed at him, shouting, "Tower Administrator, I wish to report that there is a shameless old man wanting to prostitute himself to me. He's trying to affect my performance during the competition." Chapter 665. The entire crowd became silent. They followed Long Chen's gaze to see Hua Changxing, whose face was still locked in a stiff sneer. Everyone was dumbfounded. This Long San was a bit too crazy, wasn't he? He actually dared provoke the Hua family's head. Did he not want his life anymore? Even Fang Mingyuan and Chai Gaoyang were stunned. But then seeing Hua Changxing's dark expression, they felt incredibly refreshed. At the same time, they admired this little fellow's devotion. He had clearly insulted Hua Changxing to express his position. This was equivalent to throwing his life in the ring as well. If he wanted to live, he would have to rely on the Fang family's protection. This was a brilliant move by Long Chen that immediately won him the trust of the Fang family. "Brat, you want to die?" Killing intent surged out of Hua Changxing. When would he have ever suffered such an insult? It's forbidden to scream and shout in the arena. But he's intentionally trying to disturb me. That's not fair, cried Long Chen. Those who participate in this competition must comply with the Pill Tower's rules. As long as the people outside don't curse and shout at you, anything is permitted. If you don't even have that level of calm, how do you expect to become a powerful alchemist? You're Long San? Since you come from an uncivilized land and don't understand the rules, I'll only give you a warning this time. Next time, I'll immediately expel you, said the tower administrator. Fang Chang and Chai Liao's hands were already covered in a layer of cold sweat. Only once they saw that the tower administrator wouldn't expel him did they relax. But the fact that Long Chen dared to brazenly insult Hua Changxing like this made them admire Long San's guts, as well as his loyalty toward the Fang family. Long Chen laughed inside. This was what he had expected. The tower administrator was merely in charge of proctoring the competition. He didn't care about anything else, nor did he have to give face to anyone. As a result, a minor infraction on his part only constituted a warning despite what he had done. Although that had been a bit dangerous, this one insult had won him the Fang and Chai family's absolute trust. So that gamble had definitely been worth it. I can't shout? All right. Suddenly, in front of everyone, Long Chen raised his fist toward Hua Changxing. There was one tall middle finger raised. Ha! Despite being their family heads and having prestigious statuses, Fang Mingyuan and Chai Gaoyang couldn't help but laugh. Hua Changxing's hair stood on end from fury, killing intent gushing out of him. But he didn't dare say anything. If he said anything directly to Long San, he would be rebuked by the tower administrator, and that would be even more embarrassing. Even in Pill Valley, the staff that was in charge of the various lands competitions were powerful members. Even the Hua family was unable to do anything to them. The tower administrator was completely impartial. So despite the fact that the Hua family was unrivaled in the Pill Tower and even had connections in Pill Valley, he didn't dare offend this tower administrator whose cultivation base was even lower than his own. He could only swallow his anger. But Fang Mingyuan and Chai Gaoyang's laughter was even harder to bear than Long Chen's insulting posture. A little person will only enjoy success for a moment. "We'll see who gets the last laugh," said Hua Changxing icily. But the other two didn't reply. They simply smiled. That wordless counterattack made him even more furious. This is what is being tested. The tower administrator waved his hand, and Long Chen saw a large block of words appear on his stage. It was a pill formula. Blood-soul merging pill. Long Chen was slightly startled. This was a rather neglected kind of medicinal pill. It was normally used by soul cultivators to nourish their blood and calm their soul. It was a high-tier kind of soul-nourishing pill. Amongst fifth-tier pills, its refining difficulty was middling. Fang Chang had told him that the preliminaries in past years had tested low fifth-tier pills. Thinking of that, Long Chen intentionally made his expression a bit ugly, a trace of panic appearing in his eyes. What's with Long San? That blood-soul merging pill shouldn't be too difficult for him, said Chai Gaoyang. Perhaps there really is a problem. According to Fang Chang, this Long San grew up in some backwater mountains. There are many high-tier pill formulas that he has only seen but hasn't personally refined. Fang Chang gave him many pill formulas and medicinal pills to practice, but those were all low fifth-tier pills that are easy to refine. It seems Long San hasn't refined this kind of pill, and there are very likely a few ingredients that he doesn't recognize, said Fang Mingyuan gravely. As an alchemist, if you wanted to refine a kind of pill, the first thing you needed was the formula. But then you also needed to know all the properties of the medicinal ingredients. You needed to know which ones you should refine first, and in what order you should refine them. If there was a problem with your sequence, then it would be troublesome. Furthermore, each medicinal ingredient's properties were different, and they required different levels of heat to refine. If you didn't know those things, you would be like a blind person groping in the dark. Inexperienced people really aren't so dependable. That child Fang Chang is still lacking, sighed Fang Mingyuan. If Fang Chang knew that Long San had such flaws, he should have alerted the family. They would have sent people to help him. Now it was troublesome. On their stage, Fang Chang and Chai Liehua also saw Long San's expression, and they immediately understood what was happening. They couldn't help feeling worried. But being worried now didn't have any use. This was not the opening round. They couldn't talk, and so they could only hope for Long San to be lucky. The tower administrator icily shouted, "The content of this test is the blood-soul merging pill. Each person has 3 sets of medicinal ingredients, and you have 6 hours to refine it. As long as you can refine a 3-ring blood-soul merging pill, you'll pass. Those who aren't able to achieve that will be directly eliminated. Time starts now." All the participants hastily began to warm up their furnaces and refining pills. The blood-soul merging pill was not a small challenge. There was a high chance of failure when refining this pill. Furthermore, there were countless spectators and even alchemy seniors watching. That gave them a great deal of pressure. It was lucky that they had already practiced refining here during the preliminaries. Otherwise, the odds of failure would have been even higher. In truth, this blood-soul merging pill was nothing to Long Chen. But he had to act. He carefully examined several medicinal ingredients as if he had never seen them, trying to appraise their properties. Then he began to refine them into powders one by one. Furthermore, he had to act as if he wasn't very familiar with this process. That was a bit difficult on him. But he was quite the professional. Each detail, each mistake he made, played out an extremely meticulous scene, enough to prove he was a novice. "Haha, this Long San is the genius you pulled over?" Ha! Now it was Hua Changxing's turn to sneer. Long San didn't even recognize some of the main ingredients in the blood-soul merging pill. He was a complete amateur who didn't possess any foundation in alchemy. Just as Long Chen was hastily refining the ingredients, the faster ones had already sealed their cauldrons. Bang! Suddenly, one of the alchemists became vexed. A slight error had caused the contents of his pill furnace to turn to ashes. He hastily calmed himself and began to refine anew. This kind of mistake shouldn't have occurred, but he was too used to refining in a private room. Now that it had changed to this chaotic environment, it was difficult for him to completely focus. Bang! As expected, following the first person's failure, two people immediately followed. If it wasn't that their pill flame had spiked in temperature, it was that their spiritual strength had faded for a moment, causing the pill to congeal. Pill congealment referred to when the medicinal ingredients had been refined into liquid, but a sudden weakening in the flame caused them to congeal before it was the right time. The liquid would freeze, and then there was no way to continue refining it. Before the pill condensed, all the ingredients' essence had to be maintained in liquid form. Only at the final pill condensement would you increase the flame and the amount of spiritual strength, forcing out the moisture to condense it into a pill. Boom! Suddenly, a dense medicinal fragrance filled the arena. Heavens, it's Huo Wufang. He already condensed the pill. Startled cries came from the spectators. It was forbidden to talk within the arena, but that wasn't referring to them. They all hastily looked towards Huo Wufang's furnace. Huo Wufang pridefully opened his furnace lid. 9 pills shone with a brilliant light. There's a 6-ring pill. As expected of Huo Wufang. He's the top alchemy genius of the Hua family in the past 1,000 years. The blood-soul merging pill was already hard enough to refine. When adding in this noisy environment, refining it so quickly was truly admirable. It had only been an hour. One reason he could do it so quickly was because of his beast flame. After all, it was the Earth Dragon Golden Blaze, ranked first on the beast flame rankings. The other reason was that Huo Wufang's alchemy arts and mental quality were truly excellent. Hua Changxing looked at Huo Wufang with pride. Paying a huge price to save him had been entirely worth it. Suddenly, another light shone. A flame appeared in Long Chen's furnace. But this caused everyone to be stunned. This idiot. He's actually merging the smoke grass with the fire dragon root first. Does he even know alchemy? Insults rang out. These two powders couldn't be directly merged. Long Chen failed several times before stopping. He just watched others refine. Good, he's getting smarter. Fang Mingyuan smiled. Rather than groping around on his own, it was better to watch other people's refining process. The pill formula that everyone had been given was just a general outline. It didn't go into detail, and if you didn't understand the medicinal properties, there was no way for you to refine it. Oof. Getting smart now is too late. There's only an hour left. Does he have any hope? Sneered Hua Changxing. Only then did Chai Gaoming look at the hourglass. There was not much sand remaining. Long Chen looked at the hourglass and felt that it was about time. He began to throw in powders into his furnace. Even at this time, he still wants to show off? Chapter 666, 666. Long Chen was doing the same thing as last time. He threw in all his medicinal powers at once. Did he think this was the same thing as last time? Last time, he had only had 7 medicinal powders. But now he was refining a 5th-tier pill. There were over 100 ingredients. Does this idiot think this is still a 2nd-tier pill? He has no choice but to be this stupid. There's not enough time. He can only risk it all. Oh, Brother Guangyuan, don't you also like to evaluate people? Why aren't you saying anything today? The person called Brother Guangyuan shook his head. I don't feel like it. My face hurts. Last time Long Chen had refined the pills, he had been the one to criticize him the most. As a result, he had been the one to receive the most resounding slap. 107 medicinal powders entered Long Chen's pill furnace, along with his vast spiritual strength. His spiritual strength kept the powders separated. Although they grew hotter within the furnace, they didn't begin to merge yet. If he merged them now, this wouldn't be refining pills but simply creating a furnace of paste. But seeing Long Chen was keeping all the ingredients separated from each other, every alchemist here was startled. Even the tower administrator's expression changed. The tower administrator and the 3 family heads were also able to do this. But just how old was Long San? He was a fraction of their age, but he already possessed such terrifying spiritual strength. This Long San really is a marvel. It's just regretful he wasn't raised by us from a young age. Then his accomplishments would be so high that we could only look up to him, sighed Fang Mingyuan. Such a brilliant pearl had been lost in the mountains for so many years. If he failed this time, it really would be regretful. After all, this competition only occurred once a century, and if he missed this chance, he would have no destiny with the Pill Emperor competition ever again. Long San has merged the yusen grass with the small foul flower. That will greatly reduce the pill's quality. Fang Mingyuan's expression suddenly changed. Although Long San would still be able to refine the pill, this would cause the quality to drop. Let alone 3 rings, even 1 ring would be difficult. Chai Gaoyang and Fang Mingyuan were both bitter. They blamed themselves for not paying enough attention to Long San and not treating the opening round as anything important. This one mistake had caused a complete failure. Currently, everyone else had already finished refining. 90% of the people had succeeded. There were also some who weren't mentally strong enough to refine in such an environment and failed to meet the specifications. There's still half an incense stick's worth of time. Do you think Long San will make it? Either way, I'm completely convinced. Even if he fails, just this terrifying spiritual strength is something I could never hope to achieve. It's too abnormal. In the face of Long Chen's spiritual strength, countless people had to admit defeat. There's no if about it. He'll definitely be eliminated. The merger of the yusen grass and small foul flower ensured that he would fail. He doesn't even recognize the medicinal ingredients. He deserves to fail. What's the point of just showing off? There were also people who felt intense jealousy. Fuck off. If you had such terrifying soul energy, you could also show off. But if you don't have that ability, then don't randomly crap all over the place. Exactly. You don't have any ability, and you don't want to see anyone with more skill than you. Just how dark is your heart? In your entire life, you'll only be able to be a weak pill king, sneered someone upon seeing his identity badge. That person was enraged, but there were so many people against him. Furthermore, they were pill emperors, and he had no choice but to slip away. He had no choice but to slip away, as he was worried others would remember him. If they made life hard on him in the future, he would be screwed. The pill fragrance has come out. A burst of fragrance came from Long Chen's furnace. That was what occurred when the moisture in the furnace was being forced out. But Fang Chang and Chai Liehua weren't the slightest bit excited about that. Instead, they were sorrowful. Who would have expected the preliminaries would be so difficult this time? The medicinal ingredients and pill formulas Fang Chang had left for Long Chen had actually been useless. Long Chen sensed the medicinal energy in the furnace was about to take the form of a pill and sighed inside. Only now is the time to show off. For the Enlightenment Palace star, for the sake of refining the dragon blood, I even had to drag down my own face. Boom! Suddenly, Long Chen's spiritual strength gushed forth, forming a 30-meter whirlpool in the air above his furnace. What? Everyone let out startled cries. Even the tower administrator stood up. This is the spiritual pill upgrade art? He's actually able to use it? How vast is his spiritual strength? Fang Mingyuan was filled with shock. This spiritual pill upgrade art was something used when the pill was about to form. It could absorb the medicinal energy within the pill fragrance to increase the pill's quality. Essentially, everyone present knew about this technique, but 99% of them had never used it. It wasn't that they didn't want to use it, but that they weren't able to. They didn't have enough soul energy. Of course, if a pill ancestor wanted to refine a 5th-tier pill, then with their powerful spiritual strength, they would be able to use this technique. But what pill ancestor would be so bored as to waste their precious spiritual strength to refine 5th-tier pills? Then they really would have something wrong with their heads. Pill ancestors refined 6th-tier pills, and that exhausted a great deal of spiritual strength. They didn't have enough left over to use this spiritual pill upgrade art. So this spiritual pill upgrade art was something everyone here knew how to use, but they would never use such a trash technique. The principles were very simple, but there was no practical value behind it. The fact that Long Chen knew how to use this technique wasn't shocking. It was that he had endless spiritual strength. Even the many ancient pill seniors present had never seen someone with such vast spiritual strength. Alchemists valued the quality of the spiritual strength more. In the registration, the only thing they tested was the quality. The amount of spiritual strength wasn't so important. As long as you had enough to refine a furnace of pills, it was enough. You could just rest and recover your spiritual strength before the next furnace. So no one cared about it. Well, it wasn't necessarily that they didn't care about it, but simply that no one had such vast spiritual strength. So Long Chen's usage of this technique deeply shook them. The huge whirlpool above Long Chen's pill furnace rapidly sucked in all the surrounding air. I get it. This little fellow really has some skill. Perhaps he can pass. Fang Mingyuan suddenly slapped his leg. Chai Gaoyang also nodded. Now that hundreds of people have refined the blood-soul merging pill, the medicinal fragrance in the air is extremely dense. This technique can absorb all that scattered medicinal energy for his pill. He might not be able to pass if it was just his own pill fragrance he was absorbing, but now? He really is brazen. "Time's up," shouted the person in charge of watching the hourglass. Boom! At practically the same time, a loud explosion rang out. That sound was like heavenly music in the ears of the Fang and Chai families. Even with their calm, Chai Gaoyang and Fang Mingyuan's hearts jumped a couple of times. As for Fang Chang and Chai Liehua, their hearts practically rose out of their chests. Long San was an alchemy genius. No, they couldn't use genius anymore. He had to be something beyond that. His alchemy potential was limitless. If he had studied here from a young age, the two of them would probably have been so stifled that they would want to kill themselves. Long Chen's expression was nervous as he slowly opened the lid. 9 medicinal pills lay inside his furnace. 8 of them were dark, but one shone with brilliant lines. There were 3 rings on it. Oh, I succeeded. Long Chen pumped his arm, but inside he cursed. This act had been too tiring. When using the spiritual pill upgrade art, he had poured all the medicinal energy into just one pill. Long Chen had essentially been watching as 3 rings appeared on the pill. If he had wanted to, he could have continued increasing the quality. He had clearly known the result, but he had still had to act so nervous, and then act like he was incomparably relieved and excited. Long Chen was starting to admire himself more and more. He really was becoming more and more shameless. A success. Now that the preliminaries were over, Fang Chang and Chai Liehua cheered and laughed. This sudden reversal made them go crazy with joy, and they had an urge to hug Long Chen and kiss him. The preliminaries are over. Those who passed, take your new badges so you can attend the elimination round. The tower administrator waved his hand, and there were people who immediately walked over, handing out badges. As for those who failed, they could only sadly leave. Little fellow, you really are not bad. The tower administrator actually praised Long Chen before leaving. Long San, let's go celebrate. Fang Chang pulled Long Chen directly out of the arena. Long Chen had made a perfect reversal, his radiance completely outshining Huo Wufang, who had refined a 6-ring pill and finished his refinement first. Huo Wufang's current expression was ugly, and he also brought his people away. Brother Chai, let's go celebrate with the children. Fang Mingyuan laughed and left with Chai Gaoyang. They didn't even give a glance at the gloomy Huo Changxing. Long San, is it? Just wait. You're playing with fire. Chapter 667. The Fang Mansion was located in the city's west, but was still considered part of the city's core. From here, it was even possible to see the 7-treasure jewel tower. Currently, there was a lively celebration going on within the Fang Mansion as the Fang family celebrated everyone smoothly passing the preliminaries. In truth, those that could be pulled into the Fang family's side were all elites amongst elites. This level of pill refining test was not difficult for them. The Chai family's people were also present. The two families' relations were good, and they decided to celebrate together. Even the two families' heads made a personal appearance that made the festivities livelier. Good job, Long San. Fang Mingyuan patted Long Chen's shoulder. This praise wasn't toward Long Chen's talent, but toward his display today. It was toward his character. In front of everyone, he had dared to insult Hua Changxing, tying his life to the Fang family's survival, expressing his absolute loyalty. Currently, it was still unclear which family would be the final winner. The fact that he dared to do so was truly daring. You're too courteous. Brother Fang and Brother Chai have given me the kindness of their patronage. If it weren't for them, how could I have obtained the beast flame and passed this test? I might come from poor origins, but I've always believed that anyone human should know how to repay gratitude 1,000 times, said Long Chen. Long Chen didn't actually have any good feelings toward the Fang and Chai families. But Fang Chang and Chai Liehua were to his liking. Despite being noble disciples, they didn't give him a loathsome feeling like Hua Wufang. Most importantly, Long Chen felt guilty about using them. He didn't like that feeling, so he had to help them handle the Hua family. Well said. A person who gives you a drink when you're thirsty can't be forgotten. Nowadays, most people are filled with such treachery that they change sides like the changing of the wind. It's rare for someone to possess such a pure heart now. Come, accompany this old man for a drink. What shocked everyone was that Fang Mingyuan actually took the initiative to toast Long Chen. What level of honor was that? The alchemists that had sided with the Fang and Chai families all felt intense envy. But there was also no way around that. After finishing their drink, Fang Mingyuan said, Long San, there's no need to mention anything about your talent. I've never seen someone with such vast spiritual strength. But a good blade needs to be tempered. No matter how high your talent is, you still have to bitterly train to have accomplishments. Right now, your fatal weakness is that you haven't studied enough. You are lacking knowledge on many medicinal ingredients, making it difficult for you to use your vast spiritual strength. It was extremely dangerous today. So, starting today, I will send Fang Chang with you to the medicinal ingredient repository. You'll learn to identify various medicinal ingredients and gain experience with various pill formulas. There's still 1 month until the elimination round. The preliminaries are just a starting round in the rules. The elimination round is 10 times more difficult. So this 1 month's time is very crucial to you. If you pass the elimination round, you'll get another month until the finals. At that time, you'll be competing with Hua Wufang. This Pill Emperor competition isn't just a chance for the Fang, Chai, and Hua families to compete. It's also a chance for you to change your destiny. The top 10 will all be given special badges that will allow them to enter Pill Valley later. The top 10 are given bountiful rewards, and as for the top 3? According to previous years, the rewards were so amazing that even I am greedy for them, laughed Fang Mingyuan. Other than Long Chen, everyone present desired to become Pill Valley disciples as soon as possible. Pill Valley was a holy land to alchemists. So Long San, treat this time importantly. I will lock you in the repository and have you lay down a solid foundation without rest. You don't have any problems with that, right? Asked Fang Mingyuan. No problems. Many thanks for your patronage. Long Chen was incomparably excited. That wasn't acting. Hadn't he acted so long before just for this opportunity? He could finally enter the medicinal ingredient repository. Long Chen could practically see the Enlightenment Palace pill before him. Seeing how happy Long Chen was, Fang Mingyuan nodded. Long San wasn't just loyal, he was also hardworking and clever. He knew this opportunity was a rare one. Long Chen's mood was now excellent, and he continuously raised his cup to Fang Chang, Chai Liehua, and the others. When Fang Chang told the story about how he had met Long San, the two families' higher-ups cried tears of laughter. They had actually gotten along because of slapping the Hua family's people. Chai Liehua drank a bit too much, and his tongue had loosened. He suddenly said, Who does the Hua family think they are? Aren't they just in charge of selling pills? Those despicable cheats, who knows how much profit they've swindled? Now they're getting more and more arrogant, actually stretching their hands toward my Chai and Fang family's territory. Fucking hell, they even want to expel us from the pill tower. Who do they think they are? Hearing this stunned the higher-ups. Chai Gaoyang was just about to chide him, as saying such things in front of everyone would affect them negatively. But before he could, Long Chen suddenly said, Exactly. From top to bottom, there's not a single good person in the Hua family. That Hua Changsheng even wanted to prostitute himself to me. But I don't have such tastes. Brother Chai, if you dare to face the Hua family, then I, Long San, will be the first to charge up. I'll destroy that group of bastards for you. Fuck, this time I'm going to go all-out training. When the time comes, I'll take first place, and then once I'm in Pill Valley, we'll work together to exterminate them. Good brother. I knew you were the most courageous. Come, let's drink. Chai Liehua had truly drunk too much. Furthermore, alchemists naturally had weaker constitutions. This wine was so strong that Chai Liehua collapsed on the ground. Once everyone returned to their rooms to rest, Fang Mingyuan quietly asked Chai Gaoyang, What do you think about this Long San? Is he dependable? When he speaks, his spiritual fluctuations match his words. There's no sign he's lying. He should have been speaking from his heart, so it seems he's very dependable, said Chai Gaoyang. How regretful. If only we had encountered him a year ago. With just a year's training, then with his abnormal spiritual strength, he could definitely defeat Hua Wufang, sighed Fang Mingyuan. The Hua family is slowly encroaching on us. There are already several traitors in our families. But although we know that we're helpless, the Hua family has accumulated an immense amount of wealth, and they've made countless connections. If Hua Wufang takes the first place, then with Pill Valley's grooming, the two of our families really might be either forced out of the pill tower or exterminated. I've already made my preparations to make a final struggle, but this Long San has caused a change of plans. Let's keep watching. I really don't want to use our last resort. Hopefully, Long San can bring us a new opportunity, said Chai Gaoyang. That would be good. But we also can't place all our hopes on him. We should also quicken the pace with the other matter. If Long San doesn't work out, we'll continue with our other plan. If they want us to scram? Then they'll have to pay a terrible price, said Fang Mingyuan. All right, then I'll order the entire repository to be open to Long San. He'll have full access to any medicinal ingredients and secret tomes. This is for the best because Long San has drawn all of the Hua family's attention. It's even more favorable for our plan. The next day, Long Chen had just gotten out of bed when a maiden brought him back to the 7-treasure jewel tower. Long Chen's wish was finally achieved, and he entered the medicinal ingredient repository. Heavens, this is too spectacular. How did they do this? When he entered, Long Chen was stunned. This storage room was over 100 miles wide. How was this possible? The tower wasn't even that big. The medicinal ingredient repository is different from the other storage rooms. There's a formation here, one that increases the space. The principles aren't that different from a spatial ring, but it's much, much more complicated, explained the maiden. Spatial rings were only filled with static space. But this space was the same as the outside world. It was just that the outside world looked small, but the inside world was extremely vast. The medicinal ingredients here are organized from the 1st tier to the 6th tier. There are millions of kinds per tier. You don't need to waste your time with 4th tier ingredients and below. You just need to go through the region with the 5th and 6th tier ingredients. Of course, you technically only need to go through the 5th tier region. Learn to identify the ingredients, their uses, their properties, and their limitations. There's a detailed explanation in front of each ingredient. Furthermore, they are also split into common and rare ingredients. You should focus on the common ones, said the maiden. Long Chen was brought to the 5th tier region. He saw practically endless shelves filled with medicinal ingredients. Each medicinal ingredient had a label in front of it that was filled with detailed information. Even with Long Chen's calm, his heart was pounding. The pill tower was truly the pill tower. This level of ability was shocking. The few ingredients in Long Chen's primal chaos space paled in comparison to this place. He only had a few thousand kinds of ingredients, and that referred to all tiers. But here, they had millions of different ingredients per tier. Thank you. I'm going to start now. If you have anything to do, you should go do it. Long Chen smiled. All right, I'll wait outside the repository. If you have any questions, just directly come ask me. After saying that, the maiden left. Haha, I've struck gold. Long Chen was laughing crazily inside. But he didn't display it too much. He noticed that he wasn't the only one in the repository. Others were perhaps taking out ingredients or in charge of replenishing them. Long Chen went directly to the rare section with ingredients that were parts of very neglected branches of alchemy and very rarely used. These precious medicinal ingredients were extremely difficult to gather in the outside world, or the Huayan sect would have long since managed to find them for Long Chen. Hee, Enlightenment Palace Star, just wait for me. Chapter 668, 668. Colored glass grass, my treasure. I've finally met you. Nice, brilliance leafwood, I'm sorry I made you wait this long. 9-leaf cricket pearl flower? It really is wonderful to see you. Every time he saw these new medicinal ingredients, babble would come out of Long Chen's mouth. These were ingredients used for the Enlightenment Palace pill, and it was almost impossible to buy them in the outside world. They keep track of the numbers of these ingredients. I have to think of a way, got it. Long Chen directly threw the colored glass grass into the primal chaos space. The withered ingredient instantly recovered, and was filled with vitality. Long Chen directly tore off a piece of its roots and threw it into the soil. He then continued transplanting new ingredients. As for the original colored glass grass, he sucked out all its life energy and replaced it. All he needed was a single root for each ingredient. That one root was equivalent to countless ingredients. Continuing with this method, he crazily transplanted the precious ingredients. He prioritized the Enlightenment Palace pill's ingredients first. There's one missing. The Heavenly Star Dragon Saliva Grass. He had originally been lacking over 20 ingredients. Now he was only missing this one ingredient. The Heavenly Star Dragon Saliva Grass was one of the 3 most important ingredients for the pill. It was impossible to replace it with any other ingredient. Whatever. I can only slowly think of a way. First, let me transplant all these new plants. Long Chen began a large-scale plunder. There were some plants that he only needed to take a small portion of them to transplant. That small amount wouldn't affect the medicinal effect. But some were like the colored glass grass. If he took a portion of it, its medicinal effect would be crippled. So he had to bring them into the primal chaos space and then replace them. He had also learned from the pill tower. He marked off a region in the primal chaos space just for the 6th tier ingredients. He also made another section for the 5th tier ingredients. Now it wouldn't be so troublesome to find them in the future. In the blink of an eye, 10 days passed. Long Chen had worked hard during this time, and now every ingredient here was also within his primal chaos space. Mr. Long San, what are you? The maiden hastily stood up when she saw him walk out. I've finished studying, said Long Chen. Of course he was done. He had taken what he should take, and he had taken what he shouldn't have taken. Now that there was nothing left to take, it was time to leave. But the family head said you should stay in seclusion until the elimination round, said the maiden. She wasn't able to oppose the family head's orders. I've already memorized all the 5th and 6th tier medicinal ingredients effects, uses, and characters. Staying here would be a waste of time. I need to go practice refining, said Long Chen. How is that possible? There were over 1 million of just the common ingredients. It's impossible. Long Chen's expression sank. My matters aren't something you need to question, nor do I need to explain myself to you. If you're afraid of the responsibility, I'll go take a trip with you to see the family head. Long Chen was too lazy to be entangled with her. As he had expected, he had only just returned to his room when Fang Mingyuan and Fang Chang came. Long Chen smiled and directly answered their quizzing. As a result, the two of them were dumbfounded. He knew all the effects and properties of the medicinal ingredients they asked him about as well as the back of his hand. He could even explain the properties of very rare ingredients in great detail. I just have a good memory. I can remember anything I see, said Long Chen. Fang Chang and Fang Mingyuan came to a sudden comprehension. A person's memory was related to their spiritual strength. Considering Long Chen's vast spiritual strength, they could understand how he had such an eidetic memory. Long San, now that you're familiar with the medicinal ingredients, and you're also familiar with the pill formulas, the only thing you're lacking is experience. You should go to the pill refinement pavilion tomorrow. There will be people to help you refine there. As long as you say a pill's name, they'll immediately arrange all the medicinal ingredients for you. It'll save you precious time, said Fang Chang. All right, I'll go right now. I also want to practice my alchemy, as that's the fastest way to improve. Long Chen appeared incomparably excited, but inside, he had a desire to cry. With his pill god memories, what alchemy experience did he need? But it wouldn't make sense for Long San to not go. Not only did he have to go, but he had to act happy about it. Long Chen was helpless. As a result, Long Chen was sent to the 7 Treasure Jewel Towers Pill Refinement Pavilion. Thinking of Fang Chang and Fang Mingyuan's grave faces, Long Chen wanted to cry. Not only did he have to refine pills, but he had to refine all kinds of them, showing them he was completely obsessed with alchemy. He spent all day refining. Furthermore, he couldn't even refine them too well and had to throw in a few mistakes. He almost puked from the effort. But in the end, Fang Chang and Fang Mingyuan heard reports of Long Chen's tireless practice. They greatly admired his perseverance. Let alone them, even Long Chen was admiring himself. Not everyone could be such a professional at acting. Luckily, after 10 days, Fang Chang finally brought Long Chen out of the 7 Treasure Jewel Tower. After all, he couldn't let Long Chen simply continue to go all out like this. In one go, he had refined over 100 furnaces of pills. That was extremely taxing on the soul. He needed to rest before the elimination round. Long Chen finally escaped from his torment. After returning, he slept for a whole day and night before entering seclusion. Seeing how hardworking Long Chen was, Fang Chang thought to himself that he was definitely a pill fanatic. However, what Long Chen was doing in seclusion wasn't refining pills, but urging on the primal chaos bead to get the medicinal ingredients to grow faster. Under Long Chen's careful care, medicinal fields dozens of miles wide became filled with 5th and 6th tier medicinal ingredients. Just these medicinal fields alone were priceless treasures. Now that Long Chen had advanced to the Xiantian realm, the primal chaos space had grown to a terrifying width of 3,000 miles. Other than the black soil and some medicinal fields, Long Chen had filled this entire space with immense trees. The primal chaos space was essentially a verdant forest. These trees were his life-saving measures. When he was injured, he could draw out their life energy to heal himself. However, with the increase in his cultivation base, his physical body also became much more powerful. When he was injured, it would take an incredible amount of life energy to heal. These trees were unable to keep up with his needs. The quality of these trees was too low. But for now, he wasn't able to find any better trees, so he could only keep using them. Long Chen estimated that although the primal chaos space had grown larger, he would only be able to recover from heavy injuries a total of 3 times before running out of energy. Before he had advanced, he could recover around 10 times from the brink of death. But now it was only 3. It wasn't that the tree's life energy was weak, but simply that Long Chen's body was too monstrous. If I refined the green dragon essence blood, would I even be able to use these trees? Long Chen complained bitterly. He needed his body to be able to endure 1,000 caddies of force to refine the green dragon essence blood. With 1 caddy being 300,000 pounds, he estimated his endurance was around 500 caddies. There was still a long way to go until 1,000 caddies. If it was according to ordinary means, perhaps he would have to reach the sea expansion realm before refining it. But he cultivated the 9-star Hegemon body art. If he could condense the 4th star, his body would grow even stronger. At that time, he should be able to refine it. Furthermore, the dragon expert had said that after refining it, he could cultivate the dragon blood body tempering art, allowing his physical body to grow to an unimaginable point. A point that I can't imagine? Could it be something on the same level as enchanted items? Or even treasure items? Where is Blood Drinker? Long Chen suddenly thought of Blood Drinker. After the battle, he hadn't used it again. He had thought that it was still on a large platform in the primal chaos space where he kept it, but now he found that that space was empty. Sweeping out his divine sense, he suddenly saw that Blood Drinker was stabbed into the phoenix blood black gold. Long Chen was shocked. How had Blood Drinker moved on its own? Hastily investigating, he was surprised to sense that a strange energy was currently being absorbed by Blood Drinker. Blood Drinker can absorb the energy within the phoenix blood black gold? Then was it originally made of this material? It wants to absorb its energy to heal? Long Chen was greatly shaken. He remembered what Moe had said before he had left. He had said that Blood Drinker was also a treasure item and an exceedingly terrifying one. However, it was gravely injured and its spirit was still in slumber. Seeing Blood Drinker slowly absorb energy from the phoenix blood black gold, Long Chen was filled with delight. He urged Blood Drinker on, wanting it to absorb faster so it could recover. This was an incredibly great thing for Long Chen. If Blood Drinker recovered, then with such a terrifying treasure item, couldn't he slaughter sea expansion experts? Just as he was filled with delight, he heard knocking from the outside world. He hastily withdrew his mind from the primal chaos space. The knocker was Fong Chong. Time had passed quickly. Today was the day of the elimination round. Long San, how do you feel? Are you confident? Hee, don't worry. This time I'll properly suppress Huo Wufeng. Long Chen moved out with Fong Chong in high spirits. His mood today was truly excellent. That signified that other people's moods would probably not be so good. Chapter 669. In front of the 7 treasure jewel tower, there was already a sea of people around the arena. There were even more people than last time. The elimination round this time had drawn out many alchemy seniors. The Pill Emperor competition was split into 4 parts: the opening round, the preliminaries, the elimination round, and the finals. It was extremely simple, but the elimination stage had the cruelest washout rate. In the past, more than 70% of the competitors would wash out in the elimination round. Last month in the preliminaries, only 1/10 of the competitors were washed out. Currently, there were still over 800 people in the arena. Their expressions were grave. The elimination rounds test is refining the 9 revolution life pill. The tower administrator's emotionless voice rang out in everyone's ears. What? Virtually every competitor's expression changed. That 9 revolution life pill was considered a peak difficulty pill amongst 5th-tier pills. Someone on the verge of death could consume one to guarantee that they could survive for another 6 hours. Their life energy would not fade, nor would their soul dissipate. It bought them precious time to be healed. In truth, a pill only needed a 50% failure rate to be classified as a high-difficulty pill. But the 9 Revolution Life pill had a failure rate of 70%. It was one of the most difficult 5th-tier pills to refine. The worst part was that the 70% failure rate referred to refining in a private, peaceful room. In this chaotic environment, the odds of failure would be above 90%. But they only had 3 portions of medicinal ingredients. Moreover, if they failed the first time, the odds of failing again would be even higher, almost approaching 100%. So every competing alchemist's expression was exceedingly ugly. This kind of competition would probably depend on who was luckier. Each person has 3 sets of medicinal ingredients. The time limit is 24 hours, and the pill must reach the 5-ring level in order to pass, announced the tower administrator. Hearing this, the competitors turned ashen. Even Huo Changxing, Fang Mingyuan, and Chai Gaoyang were shocked. How was the competition this year so abnormal? The pill formulas were harder than before, and the requirements for passing were even higher. What if no one managed to pass the elimination round? Wouldn't this generation's Pill Emperor competition become a joke? That's impossible. No one can refine something that difficult. One of the competitors roared furiously. This task was essentially impossible. Take him out of here. The tower administrator waved his hand, and 4 white-robed men rushed onto that person's stage. Ignoring his status as a Grand Pill Emperor, they dragged him out of the arena like he was a dead dog. If you want to give up, then hurry up and leave. Don't waste so many words. If anyone wants to cause such a disturbance again, they'll immediately lose their qualifications. Let the elimination round begin. Following the tower administrator's cold shout, the 9 Revolution Life pills formula appeared on the stage, and a group of white-robed men distributed 3 sets of medicinal ingredients to everyone. Long Chen didn't really care about the 9 Revolution Life pill. Looking at other people's expressions, he saw Chai Liehua and Fang Chong looking gravely at him. He gave them a reassuring glance, his meaning that this was nothing. In truth, even for them, they would have a high failure rate when refining the 9 Revolution Life pill. Furthermore, to refine a 5-ring one was quite the challenge. Long Chen looked over the alchemists whom he had drunk with several times now, and he saw that they were extremely focused and tense as they began to split up the ingredients. Some of them were already sweating. They were under a great deal of pressure in this kind of situation. Suddenly, Long Chen sensed someone was looking at him. He turned to see Huo Wufang sneering in his direction. Once Long Chen was looking at him, Huo Wufang raised a thumb and then dipped it down towards his butt. The meaning was that Long Chen was only fit to stay far behind him. That action drew many people's gazes, and even the tower administrator frowned upon seeing it. But he didn't say anything, because as long as you didn't speak, it wouldn't count as breaking the rules. Huo Wufang is cursing Long San. Long San can only stay behind him and eat his crap, laughed the spectators. Tisich, what little people. They want to play with me? Long Chen directly jumped on top of his stage, drawing everyone's gaze. He then pointed his finger at the distant Huo Changxing with a faint smile. Next, he pointed to Huo Wufang's butt and put on a pleasured expression. At that instant, he threw a gold coin to the ground and then picked it up. For a moment, everyone was confused. What was this supposed to mean? Such complicated actions made it so they couldn't understand it. Haha. This fellow really is a marvel. But this world did still have some smart people who managed to figure out the meaning behind Long Chen's actions. What did he mean? Don't just laugh by yourself. Long San's meaning is, Huo Wufang's family head likes to prostitute himself, while Huo Wufang likes to sell his butt. They're all sluts. Haha. Uncontrollable laughter rang out from the crowd. Long San had definitely reached the peak of cursing people. The thunderous laughter included Fang Mingyuan and Chai Gaoyang. Long San was truly peak grade. He was even able to do such a thing. Then seeing Huo Changxing's twisted expression, they felt incredibly refreshed. Their stifled anger from so many years was finally being released. You, raged Huo Wufang. Shut up. If you make a ruckus, you'll immediately be eliminated. The tower administrator finally opened his mouth. Huo Wufang shook and hastily shut his mouth. Normally, his Huo family could dominate the entire eastern wasteland, but here he was facing Pill Tower's tower administrator. He didn't dare be arrogant. He had no choice but to suppress his anger. He looked over and saw that Long Chen was mouthing something. Although he didn't speak, it seemed he was saying, "Slut, now you should be more well-behaved." The veins on Huo Wufang's head were bulging, and he was clenching his teeth so hard it seemed they might break. This Long San was too infuriating, and if this continued, let alone refining pills, he might just die of anger. He turned away and closed his eyes, focusing himself. He had to calm down first, or he wouldn't be able to refine the 9 Revolution Life pill. Now that Huo Wufang was no longer looking at him, Long Chen had no way to enrage him any further. He could only jump off. He saw Fong Chong looking at him, and his meaning was that he should calmly focus on refining the pill as that was more important. Long Chen gave him a gesture meaning that he had confidence. He then started warming up his furnace and began to refine his ingredients one by one. Excellent. Long San has advanced a great deal over this month. He knows which ingredients to refine first, and his technique has improved. There are almost no flaws at all. He really is an alchemy genius. Fang Mingyuan nodded. He had clearly seen Long Chen's progress this month. His work ethic was practically monstrous, almost reaching a kind of obsession. The reason he had his current accomplishments was not a coincidence. Suddenly, a muffled bang rang out and smoke began coming out of a person's pill furnace. The slightest carelessness from that person had caused all his work to be ruined just as he began merging the powders. Clenching his teeth, that person once more began to refine. The spectators couldn't help shaking their heads. Although the competitors were all geniuses, they were still too young. They didn't have enough experience. At this time, the best thing to do was to calm down first. Only once you recovered to your peak mental state should you continue refining again. This kind of rashness would multiply his odds of failure. As expected, the next time, he only managed to merge 7 powders when his flame jumped in power. All the medicinal powders were instantly turned to ash. No! That person suddenly let out a furious roar, causing the people around him to jump, and as a result, bang! A dozen explosive sounds rang out. Quite a few people had been disturbed by his roar, ruining all their hard work. You bitch! Fucker! Furious roars rang out. These two had no choice but to leave, as this had been their last set of medicinal ingredients. It had been extremely difficult for them to finish the refinement, but regretfully, there were no rings. Another person's finished. Ah, what a pity, there's only 1 ring. That was someone who had been listening to the crowd and weakened the strength of his flame. But unfortunately, it had already been too late. His late adjustment only caused 1 ring to appear. Following that, many more people also finished their refinements. But the results were the same. They were all eliminated. The highest grade was only 3 rings. There was no way around it. It wasn't that they hadn't wanted to refine it slower, but simply that they were unable to control the flame at the perfect temperature. If they went slightly too low, the pill would congeal. Such a lump wouldn't even be called a pill anymore. It not only had no effect, but it was also full of toxins. Heavens, someone finally passed. Junior Masters Fong and Chai are also finishing up. Amazing, they each have 3 5-ring pills. This was the 14th hour. The sky had already darkened, but lanterns kept the surroundings bright as if it were still day. The remaining alchemists all opened their furnaces, but only 87 people had managed to meet the requirements to pass the elimination round. The failure rate had been 90%. Up until now, the one with the best result was Duan Tianxiao. She was the only one to have refined a 6-ring pill, and she was filled with pride. However, the competition was still not over yet. Long San and Huo Wufang were still refining at a low temperature. Both of them were icily staring at the other, their gazes filled with provocation. They were obviously competing. 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. Their control over their pill flames was absolutely shocking. They continued all the way until the sky brightened once more. "Time is about up. You should prepare to open your furnaces," said the tower administrator, pointing to the sand. These two fellows had been staring at each other for a full night. Two bangs rang out. Huo Wufang slowly opened his furnace, causing startled cries to ring out from the crowd. Chapter 670. But when that person had just opened his mouth and his throat had just begun to tremble, before he could even make a sound, a large hand viciously slapped across his face. With an explosive sound, that person's facial bones broke and he strangely flew in an arc toward the distant Huo Wufang. What? Everyone was startled. They saw Long Chen was still in his slapping posture. That slap had come from him. They hastily looked back onto his stage and saw a translucent hand holding the furnace lid. Under his spiritual strength's control, there wasn't the slightest impact on his refinement. The thing that shocked the people the most was that Huo Wufang's position was behind Long Chen, but while Long Chen had slapped this person from the front, he strangely flew behind him. Originally, when that person had been about to leave, Huo Wufang had stealthily given him a meaningful glance. That person had immediately understood, and he had just been about to use his full strength to let out the loudest possible roar. But it was impossible for such a trick to escape Long Chen's eyes. What kind of joke was that? From the start, Long Chen had been paying attention to everything that was happening. That person's furious roar became mute. As for the slap, just what kind of person was Long Chen? As the original creator of the face-slapping divine ability, he could send someone flying in any direction he wanted with a slap. However, other people had never seen such a bizarre force. How could someone be hit from the front but be sent flying behind the attacker? This move had surpassed the scope of many people's understanding. Huo Wufang had always been paying attention to Long Chen. Now seeing this person flying over, his expression completely changed. If he was struck, it would be extremely troublesome. Instead of messing with Long Chen, he had brought trouble to himself. He hadn't expected Long Chen to have enough spiritual strength that he dared to leave his furnace. The tower administrator didn't have any intention of interfering in this. He just coldly watched. In truth, Huo Wufang's actions could not have possibly escaped his eyes. The tower administrator had simply wanted to see Long Chen's ability to adapt. A great alchemist not only required talent and perseverance, but also an unwaveringly calm heart. That was why he hadn't done anything. When Long Chen had been in trouble, he hadn't done anything. Now that Long Chen had sent the trouble back to its originator, he also had no intention of doing anything. Flame Cloud Palm. A ruthless expression appeared on Huo Wufang's face. Waving his hand, a huge golden flame palm slammed into that person. Boom. That person was sent flying by the flame palm. His entire body had been burned black. It was unknown whether or not he was still alive. "The Earth Dragon Golden Blaze truly is terrifying," said someone. Alchemy could not be separated from pill flames. When an alchemist met with a flame attack, the pill flame within them would automatically protect them. But that person's flame hadn't had the slightest ability to resist the Earth Dragon Golden Blaze. The title of first rank on the Beast Flame rankings was not undeserved. To treat his subordinate like this, how cruel. How will he face his subordinates in the future? Some people clearly couldn't stand Huo Wufang's actions. These people were unaffiliated alchemists, so they didn't have so many misgivings. Huo Wufang was in front of tens of thousands of people. Furthermore, he and Long Chen were the focal points. Each of their actions was caught in the eyes of the spectators. That little glance he had made was something quite a few people had noticed. They had all felt that as the number one disciple of the Huo family, acting like this was too shameless. Later, he had even gotten rid of that person as soon as he was done using him like a tool. As expected, the ancestor will give birth to the same kind of descendant. They'll decline generation after generation, sighed Chai Gaoyang. Obviously, these words were an insult to the Huo family. Huo Changxing sneered. There are always losses and wins with split-second decisions. Can ignorant people understand that principle? Chai Gaoyang and Fang Mingyuan merely smiled, too lazy to continue fighting with words. In the arena, there were already people bringing away that charred person. Over 6 hours had passed, and now only half of the competitors remained. Many people had already failed 3 times just from merging the medicinal powders. However, this place was truly filled with elites. Even under this much pressure, so many of them had begun to seal their furnaces. Long Chen and Huo Wufang sealed their furnaces at the same time. Following the two of them, Fang Chang and Chai Liehua sealed their furnaces less than an incense stick's time later. Sealing the furnaces represented the powders had all been merged, and it was time to truly refine the mixture into pills. An hour later, there were over 100 people who had also sealed their furnaces. But during this time, there were also quite a few people that had no choice but to leave. The fact that Long Chen and the others had already sealed their furnaces caused even more pressure for them, and many were unable to stay calm, which increased their odds of failure. Pill fragrance. Someone's completed the refinement. Everyone hastily looked toward the source of the fragrance. They saw a man who kept 3 long whiskers as facial hair. When he smelled this pill fragrance, he was filled with excitement and nervousness. He hadn't expected that he would be the first to finish. Long Chen looked at that person and shook his head ever so slightly. As for Huo Wufang, he was sneering in ridicule. Quite a few people sighed upon looking at that person. Bang! The furnace lid popped upon, and looking inside, the crowd sighed. Although it's high grade, it has no rings. Even the alchemist was dumbfounded. He had already been extremely careful. There had been very few flaws in his merger. How could it be that there wasn't even one ring? Another fellow with no foundation, sighed an elder. Senior, what's going on? The 9 Revolution Life pill is different from other pills. You can't rush the formation of the pill. In fact, the slower you refine it, the better. It's the opposite of ordinary pills. For ordinary pills, you want to refine it as fast as possible to avoid its essence dissipating into the air. But the 9 Revolution Life pill contains a birth life grass. When that grass is being refined, it absorbs a great deal of life energy from the air. Only by drawing that life energy into it will the 9 Revolution Life pill truly have the power to save a life. As for this fellow, he clearly doesn't understand the true medicinal effects contained in this pill formula. He refined it according to normal means, so of course there was no way for him to refine it into a ringed pill. This furnace of pills is essentially garbage. Everyone couldn't help being surprised. They hadn't been aware that the 9 Revolution Life pill contained such a secret. But they were more shocked by how abnormal this generation's Pill Emperor competition was. Not only did you need to be familiar with various medicinal ingredients, but you even needed to be familiar with all kinds of pill formula. For half of the people here, this was their first time even hearing about the 9 Revolution Life pill. As for the mystery the old man had explained, over 99% of them had been unaware of it. It's no wonder Huo Wufang, Long San, and the others have simply kept a steady flame after sealing their furnaces. The most difficult point of the 9 Revolution Life pill's refinement is to control the pill flame to its weakest level once the furnace has been sealed. But at the same time, you can't allow the pill liquid to congeal. This pill has harsh requirements for the control of the pill flame and spiritual strength. This is something that has little to do with the strength of the pill flame. Instead, it depends on control. If you aren't able to control it well enough, you won't be able to give the pill enough time to absorb the life energy in the end. Even if the pill forms, it won't have any rings. The fact that you need 5 rings to pass the elimination round is an extremely harsh requirement, sighed the elder. In other words, those who finish the pill refinement last will refine higher grade pills. Correct. While they had been talking, another 2 people had finished their refinements. But the result was just as the elder said, they had no rings. Chapter 671. 8. 8-ring 9-revolution life pill. Within Huo Wufang's furnace, there were 9 pills. 3 of them had 5 rings and 1 of them had 8 rings. Long San, I've refined an 8-ring 9-revolution life pill. What are you going to use to compete with me? Huo Wufang icily stared at Long Chen. Even after this long, you're still such an idiot. You really haven't grown at all, sneered Long Chen. But after saying that, his heart shook. His tongue had slipped just now, and he saw that Huo Wufang's expression had changed slightly. His tone and mannerisms just now had been the same as in the Jili's secret realm. Long Chen waved his hand, opening the lid. Light blossomed. 9 rings. 9-ring 9-revolution life pill. He really did manage to refine such a thing. Even the elder who had explained the secret behind the 9-revolution life pill was shocked. 9-ring pills represented the peak of high-grade pills. Many pill emperors might spend their whole lives without managing to refine a single one, even for lower-level 5th-tier pills. Haha, this Long San really is hard-working, Fang Mingyuan laughed heartily. Long San was a monster with endless potential. A month ago, he had been a complete amateur regarding high-tier pills. But after just a month's grooming, he had risen to the point where even Fang Mingyuan was shocked. Even old pill demons like Fang Mingyuan and Chai Gaoyang were not able to refine a 9-ring pill at will. It would depend a great deal on luck. And that referred to just ordinary pills, not one as difficult as the 9-revolution life pill. Long San was an alchemy genius who was still an unpolished gem. Now that he had been groomed by the Fang family, he was finally releasing his light. And that light was both dazzling and blinding. Furthermore, this genius was unswervingly loyal to their Fang family and filled with hostility toward the Huo family. That was what delighted Fang Mingyuan the most. Ah, thanks old boss Huo. You let me win. Fang Mingyuan cupped his fists to Huo Changxing. His expression was truly a petty one, but it made Huo Changxing incredibly furious. With a wave of his sleeve, he left. Looking at the 9-ring pill in Long Chen's furnace, Huo Wufang's face was incomparably ugly. He was also incredibly shocked. How had he done this? He had already brought out his full strength, but he had still lost. Although this was the elimination round and not the finals, it still made him extremely uneasy. This Long San is extremely smart. The reason he defeated Huo Wufang isn't because his alchemy arts are stronger than his, said the elder. Please explain, senior, begged the people around him. Look inside Long San's furnace. The other pills only have 2 rings and below. However, Huo Wufang's pills all have 3 rings and above, said the elder. Everyone hastily looked and saw those hints, and they came to a sudden comprehension. The elder continued, Long San wisely chose to use his powerful spiritual strength to concentrate the life energy into one of his pills. I don't know if you noticed, but 6 hours ago, he already reserved his spiritual strength. Although the fluctuations were extremely weak, it was still noticed by this old man. At that time, I thought he was intentionally weakening the flame to stall for more time. But now that I think about it, he should have already finished storing enough energy to create a 9-ring pill, said the elder with a bitter smile. Everyone realized the truth. At that time, Long San had already essentially completed his refinement, but he had intentionally stalled until the end just to give Huo Wufang a slap in the face. This fellow was truly evil. However, to do so with his spiritual strength requires extremely precise control. Not only did he have to keep the flame at its weakest possible level, but he also had to split a portion of it to concentrate the life energy in the air into just one pill. That would require an exceedingly vast spiritual strength. The amount of spiritual strength this Long San has is truly shocking, sighed the elder. Although he had seen through Long Chen's technique, that was useless to him. This kind of technique was something no one else could learn from. Who else had such abnormal soul energy? A little trick is all it was. Let's meet again at the finals, snorted Huo Wufang icily before leaving. Hee goodbye. Don't bother seeing me out. Long Chen very amicably waved his hand at Huo Wufang, blessing his luck inside. He had almost been exposed. But the 9-ring pill had drawn all of Huo Wufang's attention, causing him to forget his suspicions. Ah, Long Sen, nice work. Your face slaps are too wonderful. So this divine ability actually has its origins in all aspects of life. I understand, laughed Fong Chong as he came over with Chai Liehua. It should be said that it came from a burst of insight that stemmed from life. The main thing is that if others stick their heads out toward you, take such a graceful posture, and just wait for you forever, wouldn't you feel ashamed to not slap them? You have to at least give them this much face, said Long Chen bashfully. Ha, profound, truly profound, laughed Fong Chong. At this time, the alchemists that the Fong and Chai families had pulled to their side also came. They were truly elites worthy of the two of them spending so much time and effort to pull in. Only 7 of them had been washed out this round. But some people were a bit ashamed. If it hadn't been for the previous people's failures, which had allowed them to hear other people's discussion, they would have also failed. Even they had only heard of the 9-revolution life pill. As for the secret on how to raise the quality of it by slowly absorbing the life energy in the air, they had had no idea. The fact that they had passed was partly due to luck. There was no way around that. There were so many pills formulas, and no one knew which one would be picked for the competition. Just as their group was chatting, a certain person walked over, startling everyone. They hastily bowed. Greetings, Tower Administrator. The Tower Administrator nodded slightly and then turned to Long Chen. Your display today was not bad. But next time, remember to reserve yourself a bit. Yes, Tower Administrator. Long Chen could only nod. He knew the Tower Administrator was referring to his trouble with Huo Wufang. Next time is the finals, and a Tower Ancestor will personally be supervising it. According to what I know, that Tower Ancestor doesn't like trouble. Don't end up failing because you want to mess around, warned the Tower Administrator. Everyone was shocked. The finals weren't being supervised by the Tower Administrator, but by a Tower Ancestor. They were extremely grateful for this personal warning. Rather than saying he was warning them, it was more accurate to say that he was warning Long San. It seemed he looked very favorably upon him and didn't want him to be expelled. Many thanks for the reminder. We are incomparably grateful. The Tower Administrator nodded and left. Looking at his departing figure, Fong Chong sighed. Even the Tower Administrator looks favorably upon you. Long San, you really are about to soar. It had to be known that the Tower Administrator represented Pill Valley. He could be so arrogant that he could completely ignore the 3 families. To have received a personal warning from him was truly an honor. Most likely, even if Long San failed, the Tower Administrator might bring him into Pill Valley. He cared deeply about his terrifying spiritual strength. The others were extremely envious, but it was not the same kind of envy as when they had first met. It was extremely curious. This thing called envy was something that only appeared when the 2 parties' strengths were similar. When one person rose to the point that the other could only look up to, there would be no envy. An ant wouldn't envy an elephant. A housefly wouldn't envy a kunping. The reason was that the differences between the 2 were too big. Even if they wanted to be envious, they didn't have the power to be. The current Long Chen was like that. Good. If I can get into Pill Valley, then we can coordinate from outside and inside to cut down the Huo family. Then we can think of a way to bring the 2 of you into Pill Valley as well to play around. Wouldn't that be fun? Laughed Long Chen. If you have this kind of heart, then we're happy. But as for bringing us into Pill Valley, you should probably forget about it. We're aware of our own strength. Let's go celebrate. Although Long Chen's words had been a bit exaggerated, they still made Fong Chong and Chai Liehua feel extremely comfortable. Even though Long Chen already had hope of entering Pill Valley, he still placed their families in his heart. That was something rare. In this world, the least reliable thing was a person's heart. When people saw a new target, their hearts would change. But Long Chen's heart had been unswerving from start to finish. Their celebration this time lasted a full 3 days. Long Chen had truly become famous. He was a brilliant youngster who was soaring, his brilliance lighting up the sky. The news that Long San had used a 9-ring 9 revolution life pill to defeat Huo Wufang was rapidly spread throughout the entire alchemy world by the Fang and Chai families. The name Long San was something anyone with the slightest status would know. Even the various large sects received this news. When this news reached Shui Wuhan's ears, she couldn't help but sigh. When Long Chen does something, it always gets blown up into a huge matter. I really don't know what kind of ending he will cause. Huo family, just accept your bad luck. You could have targeted anyone, but you targeted that fellow. After the 3 days had passed, Long Chen entered seclusion once more. He had to study the flame magical arts he had gained. Last time, he had simply memorized them in one go. But such magical arts were too profound and Long Chen found himself lost. There was still 1 month until the finals, so he finally had time to study them. However, he had only been studying for 2 days when Long Chen was pulled out by Fang Chang and Chai Liehua. They said that cultivating so all out like this wasn't a good thing, and he needed to relax. As a result, the two of them directly brought Long Chen in front of a majestic, lavish building. It was extremely large and a dazzling sight from the distance. Atop the building, written in bold strokes, were 3 words, House of Pleasures. What the fuck? Big bros, did you bring me to some low-grade brothel? Long Chen was dumbfounded. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.